Chapter 12:27. A snowy night. The sun rose. The entire world was covered in a blanket of red. On the rooftop of a skyscraper, a certain orange cat was sitting on the edge of the outer wall, carefully looking down below. Behind him, an autumn water clear blue sword hovered in the air. Gongzi. Shanu's voice resounded in the orange cat's thought sea. "HM? If we stay here and don't leave, will it affect us?" "What do you mean?" "Right now, Bali is holding off the Soul Shrieker. With how powerful the Soul Shrieker is, if this goes on for too long, Bali might not be able to hold on," Shanu worriedly said. The orange cat yawned, then couldn't help but lick his paw. "Wait a minute, I'm not a real cat, why would I do that?" The orange cat awkwardly pulled his paw back and replied to Shanu. "I entrusted the order to him in order to separate the Soul Shrieker from Magic Dragon. His ability is also a form of insurance, but in truth, he doesn't need to fight against the Soul Shrieker, huh?" "Gongzi, I don't understand," Shanu was confused. The orange cat asked without turning around. "Shanu, if we return to the past, which point in time do you think I would go to?" Of course it would be. As Shanu was about to say that, she suddenly realized. That's right, Gongzi only needs to return to the point in time where he left. At that point in time, Bali hadn't fought against the Soul Shrieker yet. At that point in time, Magic Dragon had already left with Gongzi, leaving only the Soul Shrieker behind. From the perspective of Bali's group, Gu Qingshan suddenly ran away, then suddenly returned. But Magic Dragon wouldn't return to that point in time. "This really is, so that's how it is," Shanu smiled in relief. "So Gongzi can peacefully absorb Magic Dragon's power here. It wouldn't be too late to return to the Spire's destruction after this power is fully converted." The orange cat looked down at the entire city, then at the secluded alleyway in front of him. "Other than absorbing power, there's still something I haven't finished," he muttered in a low voice. "There's something else?" Shanu was surprised. Gu Qingshan retracted her inner sight into her thought sea. The 3 space-time coins hovered in the center of his knowledge sea. They let out a slight buzzing sound, as if they were asking for something. Although the war god Ui had given him a simple description of the 3 coins, it didn't explain their specific functions and uses. The artifact's spirit had to explain the abilities of a divine artifact in order for the user to completely grasp and unleash the power of the divine artifact. The 6 paths Great Mountain Sword and the twin swords Heaven and Earth were the same. The 3 spacetime coins had yet to accept Gu Qingshan. Just now they made a request. "This world is too backward, please give him some necessary help." Some necessary help. The orange cat narrowed his eyes, then focused his gaze on the dirty alleyway several thousand meters away. The child had eaten and replenished his nutrition. At this moment, he was curled up in the corner of the wall, closing his eyes and circulating his energy. In fact, with Magic Dragon's intelligence and ability, he would soon obtain the initial power and surpass ordinary people. But the 3 coins were still not enough. For a guy like the Demon Dragon to be recognized by the 3 coins, and even at the last moment the Demon Dragon wanted to help him, that was interesting. The orange cat fell into thought. Then, what else do I need to do to help him? The orange cat looked up and released his inner sight to observe this world. Being backward isn't a big problem. The most fundamental problem of this world is that it doesn't have any traces of supernatural powers. In this world, humanity only chose technology because there were no other options. Only technology could help humanity progress. This is a bit troublesome. Even if it was the mystic dragon, it would still take a long time to reach the peak of this world. The orange cat thought for a bit, then took a stance and slightly moved his body. Dance. In an instant, the entire world disappeared in front of his eyes. A dim light appeared in front of the orange cat's eyes. The origin spirit of this world had arrived. Countless whispers could be heard in the wind, as if they were telling the orange cat something. The orange cat seriously listened, then his expression slowly turned heavy. It turns out the 3 coins' worries weren't without reason. Magic Dragon would find it very difficult to surpass the limit of this world's power. Because over the years, this world's origin power had been used up too much, so there was no way for it to create supernatural powers. In reality, every world's resources were limited. If a civilization only cared about taking the world's resources, even polluting the sky, the sea, and the land without thinking of a way to nourish this world, the other living beings in this world would quickly go extinct, and the world's origin power would slowly be used up. This world would fall under the blindness and greed of its civilization, eventually ending up destroyed. The orange cat pondered for a bit, then abruptly leapt forward. He directly landed in the small alleyway and once again appeared in front of the child. "What is it?" The child opened his eyes and casually asked. The orange cat pointed at the child, then meowed at the dim light in the void of space. The dim light then slowly entered the child's body. The child's complexion instantly regained a healthy glow. His body was brimming with power, no longer showing any signs of illness. The child's expression changed. "This is the world's origin power, you can actually use such power. Wait a minute, why would the world's spirit listen to you?" Gu Qingshan's voice resounded in his ears. "It's only a transaction, you don't need to feel any pressure, you will soon receive this world's favor." "Favor?" "Indeed, you will be freed from the shackles of this body, no longer bound by this world's normal formations. The world's spirit will gather its power to aid you, allowing you to quickly increase your cultivation and regain your strength." The child didn't appear to be overjoyed, and instead asked with his immature voice, "Then, what do I need to pay?" Gu Qingshan replied, "This world is currently heading towards its decline, so while you become stronger, you need to work hard to maintain the balance of nature, pass on advanced knowledge and skills to this world's civilization, freeing it from its excessive reliance on resources. At the same time, you will help this world slowly strengthen its origin power, returning it to its peak state and evolving to a higher level." The child silently sensed the world's spirit, paused briefly, then replied, "Very fair, I accept, but what do I need to do to complete this transaction?" Countless gusts of wind drifted into both his and the orange cat's ears, telling him the answer. The orange cat nodded. The child also nodded. Seeing that the deal was done, the orange cat sent his voice again. "I'm leaving." The child glanced at the orange cat one last time, then said, "Until we meet again." Hearing this, the orange cat couldn't help but smile. At the same time, inside the orange cat's thought sea, the 3 coins were giving off a joyful woo-woo sound. They were very pleased with Gu Qingshan's arrangements. "Seems like the problem has been solved." The orange cat nodded to the child again, then reached his paw out and lightly scratched the void of space. The world parted to 2 sides, revealing a deep space vortex. The orange cat walked in with his tail raised. A few moments later, the void of space returned to normal. The child sat still for a few moments, feeling like he had an endless supply of power. The entire world became vivid in his eyes. All of a sudden, a commotion could be heard from the alleyway. A long motorcade had entered this alleyway. Dozens of capable men wearing sunglasses and black uniforms got out of the cars. Following that, an old man with a head of white hair came out from the car. He came to the child's side, slowly squatted down, and sighed. "The last descendant of my Pang family, only 5 years old, was able to find a way to escape after being kidnapped, and eventually hid in this slum without being discovered by anyone. Grandpa saw the hope of the family in you." He took the child's hand and picked him up. "Good grandson, don't worry, those who tried to harm you have already received their due punishment. Grandpa guarantees that such a thing will never happen again." During this entire process, Magic Dragon was completely stunned. What exactly is going on? The world's blessing. He didn't have time to think too much as the old man had already placed him on the back seat of the limousine. The old man looked at him and asked, "Have you ever been bullied by anyone? Have you ever suffered anything?" The child casually replied, "It's all small matters." The old man was a bit surprised, then abruptly laughed. Come, we're going home. The car started moving. The long motorcade left this alleyway. Inside the warm and comfortable car, the child silently pondered something. After a while, he muttered in a low voice, "So, I need to let this world, spirit essence, recover." Chapter 12:28. The Wraith Realm. The Wraith Temple, also known as the Temple of Worship, was the center of authority of the Wraith Realm. At the deepest part of the Wraith Temple, in the most majestic hall, there were 3 Wraith statues. In front of each statue was an incense stick as thick as a bowl. Green smoke rose into the air and filled the entire hall. Countless screams and screams of pain could be faintly heard within the smoke. At this point, there was no one in the hall. 2 of the statues suddenly came to life. "Old Song has already left, when are we going?" "There's no hurry, wait until I finish today's incense," one of the statues inhaled over half of the smoke, then said. "Recently, the number of suffering souls within the incense seems to have decreased a bit, less than 10 million. The other statue inhaled deeply, inhaled the rest of the smoke, then exhaled deeply. It replied, "Although so many parallel worlds have been destroyed, the number of souls is still limited, so the more we use them, the fewer we have." At this point, a streak of flame flew into the hall, unfolded in the air, and formed a line of text. After reading through it, one of the statues sighed emotionally. The wraith might that was trapped inside the magic dragon had already been killed by Old Song. The other statue coldly laughed. "What? Are you pitying that guy? And you want that wraith might to also come into this hall and share the incense with us?" "No, he was able to get his hands on so many space-time coins, helping our subordinates travel through space and time, discovering many secrets and accomplishing many crucial tasks. Although there were times when the coins would malfunction, it was still a great contribution. So what you're trying to say is? He's already dead. Give him a reputation, that way more wraiths can learn from him." That's reasonable." Suddenly, another streak of flame flew into the hall. Compared to the previous streak of flame, this one seemed a lot more urgent. The streak of flame exploded in front of the 2 statues, manifesting as a voice. "Wraith Lord, just now we've lost contact with everyone who used the space-time coins. Please make a decision, Wraith Lord." The voice disappeared. One of the Wraith statues spoke in a low voice. "Let me take a look. Strange, several hundred space-time coins in my possession have all been destroyed." The other statue lightly waved its hand, manifesting a thick stone book in front of it. The pages of the book quickly flipped. Most of the names drawn with the wisps were extinguished. The statue said in a deep voice, "This is troublesome. I've placed a karmic talisman on my people, and placed a few strands of their life souls with me. Once they stop in the past and don't return, the talisman technique will naturally activate and they will die immediately." Wraiths used space-time coins to return to the past to perform certain tasks. There were many problems with this, and the Ghost Lord was naturally worried that his subordinates would not return for a long time to do something else. As such, he had to set up control talismans. Space-time coins suddenly disappeared. The wraiths who were on a mission could no longer skip the long passage of time and return to the present. The other space-time coins could no more. Wraith statue heard and pointed as the void as Lord's coins as Lord. Most of the jade slips were covered in dust, and they no longer looked as bright as before. "Most of my subordinates were also killed, damn it." The Wraith statue's voice slowly became gloomy. "Those space-time coins had been used for so many years without any issues. I didn't think he would endure it for so long, only suffering a backlash at the moment of his death." The other statue's voice became cold. "Fortunately, I never gave him the chance to turn things around, otherwise, who knows who would be sitting on the Wraith Lord's throne." The past. A certain location within the space vortex. The orange cat was lying on top of the wreckage of a ship, silently waiting. In just a few moments, Magic Dragon's power would be completely absorbed by him and converted into his own power. His current strength had already surpassed Mahasvara King realm, so he could face his Sumer Lord Realm tribulation at any time. But Gu Qingshan's control over her power had become even more precise, so she had been suppressing her spirit energy fluctuations to not connect to the laws of the void. He focused his attention on his thought sea. The 3 space-time coins were vibrating in his thought sea, explaining their abilities to him. Lines of glowing text also appeared on the War God UI. You now possess the space-time divine artifact, Seeker of Infinite Secrets, Distorter of History, Key of the Past, Fragment of the Traveler's Artifact, Space-Time Coin. This artifact has the following abilities. Proof. By holding these 3 coins, you will not attract the attention of monsters within the River of Time, nor will you be preyed upon by them. Patrol. You can use the power of the 3 coins and their corresponding object to travel through the River of Time to the past, as well as to return to the present from the past. Attention. Whatever you do when you return to the past must not affect what happens afterwards in history, otherwise, you will be erased by the law of time and fate, unless you use Distorter or Distorter. You may expend a corresponding amount of soul points to become the only person allowed to distort history. Attention. You may affect the course of history, but what you do cannot be related to your past in any way, nor can you come into contact with anyone or anything related to you in the past, otherwise you will be erased by the law of time and fate. Special attention. When you use Distorter, the space-time coin will lose its ability to travel through time, until you have lived from that era until the moment you travel through the River of Time. Gu Qingshan felt a bit dizzy from reading all this, only understanding the use of these 3 coins after a while. Proof was the basic guarantee to travel through the River of Time. Patrol had the same effect as the replica coins. Distorter was even more impressive. It was the true value of these 3 coins. But the requirements to activate it were extremely strict. Not only could they not come into contact with anyone or anything related to them, they also had to live from that era that changed history all the way until now for the power of the coins to be restored. What unimaginable power! Gu Qingshan silently sighed. The 3 coins were quite obedient. They just stayed quietly in the sea of knowledge and rested. For now, Gu Qingshan didn't care about them. After that, he stayed on top of the wreck of the ship until he completely absorbed Magic Dragon's power. Finally, he returned to his human form. Gongzi, what do we do next? Shanu asked. It's quite troublesome. I heard Magic Dragon say that the Eternal Abyss is about to be destroyed, but I don't know what exactly happened. Gu Qingshan replied. Shanu thought for a bit and reminded him. Don't you have a colorful rooster, Gongzi? That rooster seems to be able to gather some information. Gu Qingshan face-bombed and said, Thank you for reminding me, I almost forgot about it. He tapped his inventory bag and took out the colorful rooster statue. After pulling on its comb a bit, the colorful rooster slowly came back to life. It gave a big yawn and said with sleepy eyes, Long time no see. Do you want to have some fun or buy some information? Gu Qingshan replied. I heard that the Eternal Abyss is about to be destroyed, so I want to know a bit about it. The colorful rooster looked around and spoke with a troubled tone. About that. I've vaguely heard about it before, but we're currently in the past, so telling you about this right now would be equivalent to me prophesying, and prophesying isn't part of my job scope. Gu Qingshan reached her hand out and transferred 100,000 soul points to it without saying anything. The colorful rooster instantly became spirited, its entire body glowing as if it had been injected with chicken blood. It used its wings to pat its chest. You're being too polite, don't you know what kind of relationship we have? This is what it is. Wait. Gu Qingshan stopped it. I have a question. You can only answer 1 question per day. Is it because answering questions will put a burden on you, or is there another reason? The colorful rooster froze briefly before giggling. What kind of burden would there be in asking for information? It's not tiring at all, but the law says that I can only answer 1 piece of information per day, so that's why. Gu Qingshan nodded. The colorful rooster then continued. Listen carefully, today was supposed to be the final battle, but something suddenly happened in the Wraith realm. Many powerful Wraiths mysteriously died in the past, causing the entire Wraith realm to fall into chaos. The three Wraith Lords couldn't help but temporarily stop their attack on the Abyss, giving the Eternal Abyss a chance at survival. After saying so, the colorful rooster once again turned back into a statue and returned to its motionless state. Gu Qingshan couldn't help but fall into thought. The destruction of all the coins was most likely the handiwork of Magic Dragon. As for the death of the Wraiths, the counterfeit coins couldn't do that, so it must have been caused by some other factor. Seems like this was one of Magic Dragon's means of revenge. Wait a minute, Gu Qingshan suddenly realized something else. Right now, the only one who can use the power of the three coins to return to the past is me. With a single thought, he took out the three coins and attempted to use Patrol to travel back in time for one day. Such a short distance didn't take much effort, and he didn't even need to travel through the river of time. Gu Qingshan simply stood still and arrived at the next day. He put the three coins away and pulled on the comb of the colorful rooster. The colorful rooster instantly became alive. Yo, what a beautiful, brand new day! The colorful rooster exclaimed. It was surprised, then looked at Gu Qingshan. I feel like I've only just met you, why are we meeting again? The rooster asked. Perhaps it's just your imagination? Gu Qingshan replied. Alright, do you want to have some fun or do you want some information? The rooster asked. I need information, Gu Qingshan replied. The colorful rooster was troubled. But we're currently in the past. If I tell you information right now, it'll be the same as, the Gu Qingshan transferred 100,000 soul points over. Aha, you're being too polite, just ask me anything you want to know, the rooster loudly declared. Gu Qingshan replied. I want to ask about the Wraith Realm, about an enemy of mine called Sang Wuzhang. Ah? Him? He brought a large group of people to the 900 million world layers to cause trouble for you. However, the real problem isn't him, but the army of 1 million Wraiths, as well as the Wraith might leading them. She wants to take your twin swords heaven and earth. TSK, it's time for you to die, brat. Chapter 12:29. After saying so, the rooster's body stopped moving and slowly turned back into a statue. An army of 1 million Wraiths? Gu Qingshan recalled what Magic Dragon once told her. After you've absorbed my power, you'll have roughly the power of 3 dragons, about the same as a true Wraith might, but you must keep in mind, in the Wraith realm, there are at least a few dozen Wraith might commanders. If any of them were to lead their army here, the only thing you can do is die in battle. If that's the case, it really is troublesome. Gu Qingshan took out the 3 coins again. To be honest, traveling back in time for a single day is a very simple thing to do, especially when I haven't done anything yet. Patrol, activate. Gu Qingshan only felt his vision blurring for a second. Another day had passed. He looked at the colorful rooster and pulled on its comb. The colorful rooster came alive for the 3rd time, staring straight into Gu Qingshan's eyes. The rooster, Gu Qingshan, the rooster appeared confused and muttered, I can't help but feel like something isn't right. Does Gu Qingshan transferred 100,000 soul points over? The rooster immediately laughed and said, Brother, if you have any questions, just ask. As soon as it said so, it couldn't help but yawn. A line of glowing text quickly appeared on the war god UI frowny-face attention. This rooster is feeling sleepy. If you continue to awaken this rooster too often, it might cause the war god intelligence to go insane and transmit false intelligence. Gu Qingshan was surprised. This rooster just said that transmitting intelligence wasn't tiring at all, so it was just pretending. Alright, seems like this will be the last time. Gu Qingshan immediately asked, Please give me a piece of intelligence, as long as it's related to my current situation. The rooster blinked its eyes and reluctantly answered, Dead, they're all dead. Gu Qingshan's heart sank and hurriedly asked, Who's dead? The rooster replied, The pixies, they were all killed by that brat, who told you to return to the past, and since that brat couldn't find you, he could only vent his anger on those pixies. They've set up an inescapable net and are waiting for you to return." After saying that, the colorful rooster quickly turned into a statue and stopped moving. Gu Qingshan was stunned. The fairies are all dead? Within the 900 million world layers, the strength of living beings was naturally limited. This was a restriction set up by the divine race in the age of old, and after countless years of development, it had become very difficult to change it. That was why the 900 million world layers couldn't stop the Wraith realm at all. He was not a match at all. But order was a real hope that could help all living beings break through their shackles. That was why Gu Qingshan was doing everything she could to kill the Soul Shrieker and activate World's Apocalypse Online. Human Legion, giving everyone the ability to save themselves. But now, before the task was completed, those thumb-sized fairies were all killed. Fairies were a noisy race. Although they had many bad habits, they were naturally passionate and treated people sincerely. They never owed anyone favors. Including this time, they were also doing their best to help Gu Qingshan defeat chaos. However, they died just like that. Gu Qingshan stayed silent for a bit, drew the Earth Sword, and infused 2 million soul points into it. Instantly, intense gusts of wind drifted around the Earth Sword, causing even the void of space to warp and distort. This was 2 million soul points. Adorable, look at me! Gu Qingshan angrily shouted. A xiao sound resounded from the void of space. Gu Qingshan swung his sword with everything he had. This was the first time he had used his full power after obtaining the power of 3 dragons. Secret Art, Drawn Shadow, Earth Sword Thaumaturgy, Earth's Choice. Countless black sword images bloomed like a lotus flower, spinning, weaving, and slicing through the void of space. Gu Qingshan sheathed his sword and tossed the 3 coins to the air. The 900 million world layers. The space vortex, an army of over 1 million wraiths, had completely surrounded the void of space. Song Wuzhang was wearing a brand new set of armor, standing among the wraiths like the moon surrounded by stars, loudly ordering, "Surround that side a bit tighter." Since the Huang Quan Devil King had traveled to the past from this place, when he returns, he will naturally return here to find those pixies, so be careful. He suddenly turned around and asked Commander Yu, who was standing not too far away, "You came in such a hurry, did you come to take my credit?" The woman called Yu didn't say anything, but her wraith generals were a bit annoyed. "You brought over 1 million people to help you, yet you're saying that our master is here to take your credit?" Yu lightly shook her head and signaled her subordinates to stay silent. She casually replied, "I'm following the Wraith Lord's orders to only take the twin swords heaven and earth. This doesn't conflict with your mission." Song Wuzhang coldly scoffed and mocked. "You even gave up your subordinate magic dragon, yet you still couldn't take down that Devil King. Who would have thought you'd have the face to try and take advantage of me?" As Yu was about to say something, she abruptly shouted, "All troops prepare." Everyone turned around, only to see that the space vortex that had been surrounded was gradually filled with black fog. Following that, a man walked out from the black fog. The Huang Quan Devil King, Gu Qingshan. "Bind!" Song Wuzhang loudly shouted. The wraiths all acted. Blinding light and shadows of spells flew towards Gu Qingshan's body, instantly trapping him in the void of space, unable to move at all. Gu Qingshan stood still and smiled unexpectedly. "And here I thought you'd kill me as soon as I came out." He released his inner sight and spoke to everyone present. Song Wuzhang angrily replied, "Killing you is as simple as taking something out of my pocket, but if I don't make you feel despair and pain, how would I be able to resolve my hatred? It's just a simple fight. Is there a need to hate me to this extent?" Gu Qingshan continued to ask through inner sight. Song Wuzhang walked forward step by step, stood behind the soldiers and gritted his teeth. "I'm going to skin you alive bit by bit, then extract your soul and burn it in the flame of a lamp for a few thousand years. Only after hearing your screams of pain every single day would I be able to calm down. Gu Qingshan's expression didn't change, but she asked, "The pixies, were you the one who killed them?" "That's right," Song Wuzhang replied. Gu Qingshan was a bit surprised. "They weren't a match for you at all, so what was the point of killing them?" Song Wuzhang pretended to be in deep thought, then muttered, "I was thinking that this might be able to make you feel better." Gu Qingshan casually replied, "And you did." At this point you chimed in, "Where's Magic Dragon? Did you kill him?" Gu Qingshan nodded, then continued to speak through inner sight. "That's right, what about his soul?" You wasn't assured and questioned further. Gu Qingshan smirked and replied, "Of course I released him." You scowled, then glanced at Gu Qingshan deeply before slowly retreating. Magic Dragon. A peerless genius of the Wraith realm. If he had reincarnated in a certain era of the past, in an unassuming world, and the Wraith realm couldn't find him with Magic Dragon's overwhelming hatred towards the Wraith realm, who knows what would happen in the future. When the three Wraith Lords find out about this, there would probably be another storm. This Wang Quan Devil King. He had to find out where the Mystic Dragon had gone. At this point, Gu Qingshan had turned to look at Song Wuzhang. "You clearly have a grudge against me, but you killed the pixies who couldn't resist you." "That's right, I can't undo anything." He slowly released his inner sight, then continued, "But when it comes to killing someone, you need to consider carefully whether or not you can afford to pay the corresponding price. I've decided to kill you, then go against your old man. This was Magic Dragon's request, and it's quite fitting for me. Then what about you, Wraith Song Wuzhang, are you ready?" Song Wuzhang was surprised. "Ready for what?" "Your life," Gu Qingshan replied. Song Wuzhang looked left and right. Layers upon layers of undulating mountains of evil spirit soldiers surrounded him tightly in the middle. On the other side, Gu Qingshan was completely restrained by countless techniques. Among these techniques, not only were there unique restraining techniques, but there were also a few divine skills that were specifically used to restrain the body and soul. "My life?" Song Wuzhang loudly laughed. You? You want me to pay with my life? I have an army of 1,000,000 soldiers under my command, yet you dare to utter such arrogant words. Ah ha ha ha. The wraiths around him also laughed along. This guy is probably scared out of his wits. Gu Qingshan remained unmoved and continued to speak through her inner sight. "Not only do I want you to pay with your life, I also want to tell you something else." Song Wuzhang couldn't help but laugh. "Ah ha 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 ha, very well, tell me, tell me." Gu Qingshan appeared to be reminiscing, then slowly released her inner sight and said, "In the past, when I fought against others, I would at least act as a sword cultivator and wouldn't use any other tricks, because my sword is more than enough to solve any problem. But against you, since you were able to kill so many pixies who posed no threat to you at all, I won't care about that anymore. This time, I'm going to use the path of an assassin to kill you." Those were my Gongzi's exact words. As soon as she finished, a xiu sound was heard. Countless black sword images manifested around Song Wuzhang's body. Layers upon layers of wraith. Every defensive technique, Gai's talismans, life talismans, and ghost seals were all destroyed. Even Song Wuzhang's armor was completely ripped to shreds. "Oh no! Everyone hurry, protect Song Wuzhang!" You exclaimed in shock. The wraiths unleashed countless strange techniques, but as soon as they touched the black sword images, they were instantly destroyed and vanished. You gritted her teeth, summoned a spear, and hurriedly rushed forward as fast as she could. In that split second, Gu Qingshan opened her mouth and spat something out. It was an unassuming butterfly. The butterfly instantly vanished and switched places with the gourd adorable that was hiding next to Song Wuzhang, turning back into Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan reached her hand out. The other him, who was restrained by layers upon layers of techniques, turned into an autumn-clear blue sword that swung in the air. Lawbreaker! Invincible! All the wraith's curses and divine skills were all broken. The sword flashed and appeared in Gu Qingshan's hand. Key. Gu Qingshan swung this sword to knock away Yu's five-pronged Devil King spear. His other hand wielded the earth sword and stabbed it into Tsang Wuzhang's chest. I said I'll make you pay with your life, and I'll make you pay with your life, not a single lie, Gu Qingshan casually said. Chapter 1230. Gu Qingshan stabbed the earth sword through Tsang Wuzhang's chest. Her other hand held the Six Paths Great Mountain sword to stop Commander Yu's five-edged Devil King spear. Stand back, Gu Qingshan tilted her head and gestured to Yu. You didn't move and sternly shouted, Huang Quan Devil King, if you dare to attack, the entire Wraith realm will not forgive you, you will never be able to reincarnate. Gu Qingshan looked at her and lightly pushed the earth sword forward. The earth sword pierced through Tsang Wuzhang's chest even deeper. Tsang Wuzhang gritted his teeth and didn't make a sound. Ah, that's quite a tough one. Gu Qingshan smiled and twisted the earth sword in her hand. Blood gushed out. An intense pain came from his chest. Tsang Wuzhang had never felt such pain in his entire life. He couldn't hold himself back anymore and shouted, Damn it, you, hurry up and back off. Hurry up and back off. You didn't dare to probe any further, so she put her spear away and retreated. Don't be ridiculous, this is the Wraith Lord's son. If he was killed by the enemy because of my careless probing, even dying 10,000 times wouldn't be enough to appease the Wraith Lord's anger. Gu Qingshan looked around. The million-strong Wraith army surrounded him, each of them staring straight at him. Gu Qingshan was completely convinced that if he was distracted for even a moment, he would die without a proper burial. Speak, Huang Quan Devil King, what do you want? Tsang Wuzhang gritted his teeth. What do I want? Gu Qingshan repeated. That's right, as long as I have it, I can give it to you, but you must spare my life, Tsang Wuzhang replied. As soon as he said, spare my life, he instinctively looked around. I actually said such a thing in front of the million-strong Wraith army. Tsang Wuzhang was so furious that he wanted to kill everyone here. Huang Quan Devil King. Detestable Huang Quan Devil King. When I return this time, I will definitely throw away my pride and beg my father to kill this Huang Quan Devil King, then trap the Devil King's soul within the flames and make it into a lantern that I carry around with me. He wanted him to suffer for eternity. He wanted everyone to hear his endless wailing. While he was thinking, the Huang Quan Devil King's voice resounded again. Are you really willing to pay any price to exchange for your life? Of course, state your conditions, Tsang Wuzhang immediately replied. Gu Qingshan replied, Those pixies were all killed by you, but I know that your Wraith realm has never let anyone go. Even if they're dead, you'll still take their soul, so you have to give me the souls of those fairies. Tsang Wuzhang's eyebrows loosened, then shouted at a Wraith general, Give it to the Huang Quan Devil King, yes. Please accept this, Huang Quan Devil King. The Wraith general took out a small stone box, threw it towards Gu Qingshan and Tsang Wuzhang. Accept, Gu Qingshan gestured to Tsang Wuzhang. Tsang Wuzhang was surprised, but didn't accept the stone box. Naturally, Gu Qingshan also didn't accept the stone box. He took Tsang Wuzhang away from the stone box and sneaked a glance around. Only to see that the Wraith Mighty was fine. Her expression was cold and unchanging, but quite a few of the soldiers without yiksha masks appeared disappointed. Without saying anything else, Gu Qingshan let go of the Six Paths Great Mountain sword and took out a horned skull staff. Tsang Wuzhang, oh Tsang Wuzhang, it seems you still don't understand your current situation properly, Gu Qingshan muttered and abruptly stabbed the Devil King Warden rod into the other party's chest. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere. Intense pain assaulted him. Tsang Wuzhang's body twitched uncontrollably and uttered a long scream. Arg! I was wrong. I really was wrong. Don't. Gu Qingshan ignored him and activated the scepter with her mind. Right away, the skull on top of the scepter gave off a faint red glow. The scepter had been activated. From now on, Tsang Wuzhang's soul was completely suppressed by the scepter. With a single thought from the Huang Quan Devil King, his soul would be completely destroyed. Song Wuzhang also noticed the abnormality. He felt as if his entire soul was trembling. This scepter was in contact with his soul, capable of destroying it at any moment. Huang Quan, Devil King, he shivered, realizing for the first time that his fate might not be as simple as death. Gu Qingshan patted his shoulder and smiled. Brother Wuzhang, how about we try again? But remember, this will be the last choice you'll ever make in your life. If you make another mistake, you'll lose your life. Fine. Fine. You're the best. Men, give him the pixie's soul. Song Wuzhang gritted his teeth and ordered. The Wraith General finally gave up and took out a cage made of straw rope, tossing it to them. The 6 paths great mountain sword flew up and lightly caught the cage with its tip. After sensing it for a bit, it confirmed that the only way to break it was to use spatial imprisonment without any other methods, so it spoke up. Gongzi, there's no problem. Gu Qingshan received the cage, scanned it with her inner sight, and found that this cage was indeed a spatial artifact, filled to the brim with pixie souls. The pixie souls seemed to have also sensed his inner sight, so they all released flames to form the long-bearded old man's appearance, and winked at Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan felt assured. Back in the secret passage of the Dusty World, the pixie souls were able to survive for a very long time, so there naturally wouldn't be any problems now. I didn't have time to save them before, so I'll have to explain it to them later. But from how they behaved, they most likely didn't care about it and even had the mood to throw flirtatious glances at me. Gu Qingshan silently thought, then turned his hand to put the cage away and turned back to Song Wuzhang. Countless thoughts flashed through his mind. Can you let me go now? As long as you let me go, I'll make a vow in front of everyone to ensure your safety. Song Wuzhang endured the intense pain and fear, trying his best to speak slowly. Gu Qingshan said, I have a question. What do the Wraith Realm usually use to carry their personal belongings? Bracelets, Song Wuzhang replied. Gu Qingshan glanced around. Sure enough, each evil spirit wore a bracelet on their arm. Some were made of jade, some were made of gold and silver, some were made of plants, and some were made of white bones. Song Wuzhang was also wearing a black jade bracelet with 2 dragons engraved on it. This one. Gu Qingshan pointed at his bracelet and asked. Wait a minute. That's my bracelet, Song Wuzhang called out. Gu Qingshan ignored him and took off the bracelet. A few lines of glowing text appeared on the War God UI frowny face black jade dragon-shaped soul bracelet, destroyed, interspatial artifact, a total of 21 defensive techniques, all of which were destroyed by a single strike of Earth's choice. So, it's already destroyed? Gu Qingshan silently thought and released her inner sight to scan the bracelet. Sure enough, the layers of restrictions were destroyed, and the dense and dazzling array of treasures within the bracelet were like a mountain or an ocean, and they filled the entire bracelet. Last time at the World Pillar, Gu Qingshan had already given everything she had to the World Fragments, so she was now completely broke, unable to even afford a cup of tea. But now, Song Wuzhang was the young master of the Wraith Realm, as well as a former Wraith Might who had conquered countless worlds, so the treasures he had were countless times better than those of the 900 million world layers. What did you just say? Gu Qingshan looked at the bracelet and asked. This is... Song Wuzhang observed her expression, thought about the things inside the bracelet, and carefully said, My bracelet. Gu Qingshan rubbed the bracelet against her inventory bag, emptied everything, then put it back on Song Wuzhang's arm. Don't worry, I don't care about your bracelet at all, Gu Qingshan replied. Song Wuzhang sighed in relief, but as he sensed the bracelet, his face slowly paled. My countless years of hard work are all gone. All of a sudden, a loud and furious voice resounded from afar. Who dares to touch a member of my Wraith Realm? This voice came closer and closer, causing the entire void of space to tremble. Hearing that, the Wraiths cheered. The Wraith Lord is here. It's the Wraith Lord. General Wuzhang will be fine. That's great. Gu Qingshan's gaze passed through the rain. Her expression didn't change, but her aura had loosened a bit. He's confident enough to deal with me? There are too many unknowns about Gai's hexes and talismans. Song Wuzhang was able to exchange lives with someone else last time, so the substitute talisman technique must have come from his father. That's troublesome. Gu Qingshan didn't hesitate and immediately circulated the spirit energy in her dantian, unleashing all of her power. Boundless spirit energy drifted around her body, giving off fluctuations that far surpassed even the power of the Mahasvara King Wu realm. Gu Qingshan put her hand on Song Wuzhang's neck and muttered, "Your father seems to be very impressive, but keep this in mind, if you provoke me again, your father won't be able to protect you." Instantly, an invisible law fell onto Gu Qingshan's body and took her away from the millions of wraiths. Heaven's tribulation. The Sumeru Lord Realm tribulation. Gu Qingshan directly used the law of the void to escape from this part of the space vortex to face her tribulation. Even a Wraith Lord wouldn't be able to easily travel from the 900 million world layers to Heaven Pillar World. Not to mention, the samsara barrier that Renedal broke all those years ago had already been restored. The entire divine mountain of Sumeru was no longer being corrupted by the outside world. But Song Wuzhang didn't care that much. As soon as the Huang Quan Devil King left, the fear in his heart disappeared, replaced by endless rage. Being caught by an enemy amidst millions of wraiths, threatened, and even had his black jade dragon-shaped soul-embracing bracelet taken away, this humiliation was enough to ignite his anger. A bunch of trash. They couldn't even stop the other party for a single moment. Or perhaps, these guys weren't even trying to protect me? They all deserve to die. Song Wuzhang forcefully suppressed his emotions and shouted, "Men, his voice stopped. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, his head tilted to one side and rolled down from his neck, leaving only the headless corpse still frozen in place. Chapter 12:31. Darkness. The pitch-black darkness gradually faded. Song Wuzhang opened his eyes and found that he was tightly bound by countless metal chains, suspended in the air. What was going on with him? He stared blankly for a while, and gradually remembered what had happened. The Huang Quan Devil King pressed his hand on his neck and said, "Your father seems to be very impressive, but remember, if you provoke me again, your father won't be able to protect you." He didn't pay much attention to it at the time, but who knew that after the Ghost King left, he suddenly felt a chill on his neck, and then he didn't know what happened. "So, I'm dead?" Song Wuzhang was shocked and couldn't help but struggle. Suddenly, an old man's voice rang out. "Wuzhang, don't move." Song Wuzhang shivered and immediately stopped moving. This voice was all too familiar. It belonged to the Wraith Lord with the most powerful spells among the 3 Wraith Lords, 100 Grudges. Since he heard this voice, he was definitely not dead. Song Wuzhang regained his composure and asked, "Ghost Lord, what's going on?" Bai Yuan's voice sounded again, "You were killed. Fortunately, your soul and body are still there. Your father didn't want to reincarnate you with the evil spirit technique, so he found me and asked me to use this resurrection celestial technique to save you." Song Wuzhang silently sighed in his heart. Life and death was a big deal, and it was also one of the strictest laws. If I were to use the Wraith Realm spell to resurrect, I would definitely turn into a zombie, or a skeleton, or even a beast, unable to maintain my current body. The only way to transcend life and death and bring people back to life was to use immortal art. Even if it was an immortal art, breaking through the laws of life and death to save a person would definitely require a lot of energy, so the Ghost Lords were not willing to use it easily. His father was not good at this kind of immortal technique, so he had to ask 100 Grudges to perform this immortal technique. Only God knew how much his father had paid for this. Huang Quan Devil King, Song Wuzhang gritted his teeth. 100 Grudges said, "Wuzhang, don't bother about it anymore. Your father has brought an army and surrounded that place. There. The place where you died was also the place where the Huang Quan Devil King went to face his tribulation. When a cultivator returns from a tribulation, they would definitely return to the place they left, and as soon as he appears, he would immediately die. Hearing that, Song Wuzhong calmed down. With his father personally taking action, there wouldn't be any problems. Once the Huang Quan Devil King's soul is captured, I can finally take my revenge. As for now, thank you, Lord Hundred Grudges, for saving me. Song Wuzhong said with a grateful tone. There's no need to thank me. After all, everything has a price. Your father has already given me sufficient compensation. 100 Grievances said. Heaven Pillar World. Gu Qingshan sat on the city gate tower, took out the straw cage, and released the spirits of the fairies. Countless fairies surrounded him and expressed their gratitude. They took out pieces of wood, flowers, leaves, mushrooms, grasses, and the like out of nowhere, and put their souls into them. These things immediately came to life and turned into the appearance of fairies. However, the fairies who chose wooden bodies had dark brown bodies, the fairies who chose leaves wore green skirts, and the fairies who chose mushrooms looked like mushrooms with limbs and facial features. The long-bearded old man appeared again and hurriedly said, "Why didn't you chop that guy into pieces? You should know that he isn't like us pixies who can survive on a random leaf." Gu Qingshan smiled. They have a Huang Quan world in their hands, they can control life and death, and they've even used a mortal craft before, so I don't think there's any point in killing him. Also, Gu Qingshan carefully put a few stray hairs into her inventory bag and spoke with a serious expression. Someone like him is actually a kind of loophole for the Wraith Realm. Rather than helping the Wraith Realm eliminate him, it's better to keep him as an idle chess piece that might prove useful in the future. The long-bearded old man shrugged. Very well, since you weren't being careless and had your own considerations, I won't worry about it anymore. Gu Qingshan asked, "What about the god of life?" The long-bearded old man sighed. According to those wraiths, the power of chaos is more effective against the abyss, so they had the deity of chaos lead the carriers of chaos of the 900 million world layers to the front line against the eternal abyss. The old man awkwardly moved his body, then muttered in dissatisfaction. "This body, seems like I'll have to meticulously make a new one when I return." Gu Qingshan immediately apologized. "I'm sorry, the power of the coins can only travel backwards and back to the past, not forwards, so I couldn't save you." The 3 space-time coins were objects that could alter history, so their power could only be used in the past. The coins could select a point in history to bring the user to the past, but they couldn't do anything about the present or the future. When a user traveled from the present to the present time would still be moving forward. When the user returned to the present, they would already be in the future after a certain period of time. If the user couldn't return to the exact moment they left, even if they used the power of the coins again, they wouldn't be able to return to the exact moment they left, because that period of time no longer belonged to the user of the coins, it completely belonged to someone else. For example, inside the Seal of Drifting Sand world, whenever Gu Qingshan went to the Age of Old and died on the way, as soon as he returned to the seal, he would see Lin, who was impersonating the dark figure of light, doing something else. Sometimes, when he returned, Lin would be eating, sometimes Lin would be waiting for him, and sometimes Lin would be checking his pills, reading a jade tag, or doing something else. It was only when she sensed that Gu Qingshan had died that she would return to the moment of Gu Qingshan's death and bring him back. Sometimes, Lin would also hide in the shadows, traveling with Gu Qingshan and directly bring him back if things went wrong. But in the end, the fact that they returned to the Age of Old couldn't stop the present time from moving forward towards the future. When he returned from the Age of Old and arrived at the Earth world, the war god Ui immediately notified him that over a year had passed. At the time, the coins told him that Gu Qingshan would die if he didn't wait for over a year. Gu Qingshan had thought that the coins were afraid of Magic Dragon, Lin, and the Soul Shrieker's traps, but now that he thought about it, the coins didn't care that much. They were actually talking about the law of time. Just like the previous times, when Gu Qingshan returned from the past, time continued to move forward. When he returned, it would already be after the pixies were killed. Because of that, these 3 coins were also known as the keys of the past. Their power focused on the past. The past. Gu Qingshan suddenly thought of something. Perhaps there's something unique that can take me to the future? At this point, the long-bearded old man happily asked. It doesn't matter, you've already saved us, but where exactly is this place? Should we hold a celebratory ball for surviving a calamity? Gu Qingshan regained her senses and replied. This is Heaven Pillar World. The long-bearded old man could already see the towering pillar of heaven at the center of the city. Whoa, so thick, so sturdy. How regretful that it's broken, he exclaimed. The Pixie King appeared next to him, arms akimbo. It took so much effort to get to this foreign world, are we going to climb that pillar? Hearing that, the long-bearded old man's eyes glowed. That's right. That's the symbol of a cultivator. We should conquer it, the long-bearded old man said. Gu Qingshan facepalmed. The pixies have a strange way of thinking, and since I have to face my tribulation, I really can't control them. You don't need to climb the pillar. Gu Qingshan cleared his throat and tried to explain. If you want to leave this place, you'll have to come with me to the top of the mountain. To accomplish this as quickly as possible, I think you'll need to hide and stay by my side. Before he could finish, the long-bearded old man and the Pixie King had already become excited. There's another mountain? The king asked. That's right, the divine mountain of Sumeru. Gu Qingshan sensed something amiss, but still answered. The divine mountain! Both the king and the old man exclaimed. The long-bearded old man went silent for a brief moment, then suddenly shouted. Everyone, prepare yourselves, the first mountain climbing competition of the year is about to begin. The last pixie to reach the top must become a Whoopaloopa. The king loudly added. And he must become a Whoopaloopa for an entire year. Before he finished, the old man had already rushed forward. Father, you cheated. You ran first. The Pixie King angrily shouted. He also rushed forward. The pixies shouted Whoopaloopa and happily followed the king and the ancestor of the kingdom towards the heaven-reaching pillar. Gu Qingshan stood still, opened his mouth, but couldn't say a single word. Law 57 of the Infinite Worlds. When pixies are in high spirits and want to do something, you can't stop them. Then, the Divine Mountain's vitality has been greatly damaged, and it's only just returned to normal, so it shouldn't be too dangerous, right? While Gu Qingshan was hesitating, several cultivators flew towards her from afar and landed in front of her. Everyone respectfully clasped their fists. Your Excellency, you must be here to face your Sumer Lord Realm tribulation. Gu Qingshan nodded. Sensing the immense spirit energy fluctuations coming from his body, everyone exchanged joyful glances. This level of spirit energy it's something they've never seen before. The last time someone passed their Sumer Lord Realm tribulation, it caused a huge commotion. This time, there were even more people who came to test him. There were around 30 of them, all of them had eager expressions on their faces. One of the cultivators respectfully asked, Your Excellency, please tell us how we should prepare. When will we set out? The arrangements of personnel will also be decided by Your Excellency. Gu Qingshan sighed, then suddenly smiled and loudly declared, Come, let's climb the mountain. The last person to reach the top will turn into a tortoise for everyone to see. He leapt forward and took the lead. Chapter 12:32. The wind whistled past his ears. Gu Qingshan flew across the sky, casually dashing forward a few times before reaching the pillar to heaven. He turned his head to look at where he came from and said with a smile, You guys are too slow. The long-bearded old man arrived first, still a few thousand meters away from him. The old man opened his eyes wide and shouted, Gu Qingshan is in the lead for now. Pixies, do your best. The pixies all began to move. Behind the large group of fairies, the cultivators were hesitant as they flew towards the heavenly pillar in groups of 2 or 3. I feel like the person facing the Sumeru Lord Realm tribulation this time is a bit unreliable, one of the cultivators commented. A mountain climbing competition, does he really think that Mount Sumeru is that easy to climb? Another cultivator commented. A female cultivator's face flushed a bit as she excitedly said, but he's very impressive, the most impressive Mahasvara king or realm cultivator I've ever seen. That's true, the spirit energy waves he gave off were too overwhelming, I even thought that he was a Star River saint, another female cultivator commented after some thought. The other cultivators looked at her. The female cultivator scoffed and raised her chin. What are you all looking at? In my world, my father is a Star River saint. The cultivators all smiled innocently. They discussed among themselves while flying. Gu Qing Shan stood on top of the pillar to heaven, having nothing better to do. He casually put his hand on his inventory bag to check his spoils of war. The Wraith realm where Tsang Wu Zhang came from had already gathered 60 to 70% of the entire Wraith realm, so he naturally had a lot of treasures from the Wraith realm. Wraith guise hexes, life talisman techniques, treasure tools, armors, weapons, they had everything. However, all of them required Wraith techniques to activate. Gu Qing Shan's inner sight scanned through the Wraith technique. How troublesome to use these high-grade items. I'll need to learn the corresponding Wraith technique. However, there were quite a few spoils of war from other worlds. As Gu Qing Shan was about to look further, he sensed something and looked at the void of space in front of him. The void of space itself began to split apart as an invisible presence rushed out. Gu Qing Shan immediately knew what it was. He sighed to himself. At the same time, both the Earth Sword and Chao Yin Sword flew out to protect him. Seeing that, the Six Paths Great Mountain Sword also flew out. What's wrong? An enemy? Shanu nervously asked. No, the Earth Sword buzzed. It's something else. It sounded like it was watching a good show. What else? Shanu was surprised. At this moment, the aura turned into specks of light that formed the appearance of a woman. Holy Angel Frost. Her entire body was surrounded by a pure white radiance, and she had a pair of wings on her back. Her appearance was so beautiful that it would be unforgettable to anyone who laid eyes on her. This was a super long-distance connection that she had made with the help of the occult technique. She smiled and softly said, "Hello, the man who saved me from the curse, Gu Qing Shan." Gu Qing Shan saluted and said, "Hello, the bravest and most capable woman in battle, we meet again." Frost smiled and replied, "That's not a compliment, all right, let's not talk about that. I just want to know, did you receive my letter?" Gu Qing Shan replied, "I did, then you? I don't know how to read. So that's why, if I knew earlier, I would have just used a projection. I just thought that using letters to communicate would feel better. I'm sorry." While they were talking, the pixies and cultivators had all arrived. In front of everyone, Gu Qing Shan casually smiled and said, "I'm sorry, I'm busy right now, can we talk later?" Frost hurriedly said, "This technique of mine actually has a kind of power. As long as you agree, you can directly pull me to your side. So, you just need to touch my shadow and silently say 'agree' in your heart." Gu Qing Shan was a bit surprised. "What are you doing here?" he couldn't help but ask. Frost vaguely answered, "Only the one from over 100 million years ago had that kind of power." Then you and I. Gu Qing Shan nodded to express that she understood. She was talking about the power of occultism, but in truth, Gu Qing Shan had never seen anyone who had this kind of power before. Frost continued, "That's why I feel the need to exchange some of my experiences in using this power with you." Gu Qing Shan thought for a bit, then replied, "But I have a lot of things to do right now. How about you think about it yourself first? I'll tell you when I'm free." Frost smiled and replied, "It's fine, I can help you, whether it's in battle or anything else. In truth, in this world, only you and I are the same kind." Her gaze fell onto Gu Qing Shan's wrist. The purple rope loop on his wrist was swaying along with the wind in the sky. Frost's expression became even more seductive as she whispered, "Gu Qing-shan, I'm the only one who's worthy of you, how about I join with you?" Everyone almost collapsed. The long-bearded old man glared at the pixies and lowered his voice. "Pure pixies, don't look at this, cover your eyes." Including the Pixie King, all the pixies covered their eyes, leaving enough space between their fingers to look. The cultivators looked at the sacred angel, then at Gu Qing-shan. A female cultivator muttered, "So this is love that transcends species? I remember clearly that I came here to face my tribulation." A lanky male cultivator spoke with a serious tone. "Perhaps this is part of facing a tribulation? Cultivators of our generation forget to eat and sleep, constantly cultivating without end. Where would we find the time to find a Tao companion? Every day we spend our days hanging by each other's shadows. That's why the tribulation showed us this to test our willpower," another female cultivator asked in surprise. "Hanging by each other's shadows? That can't be right, we've all reached Yama King Realm Peak. This is the time to enjoy the path to immortality. Who doesn't have a Tao companion?" She looked around. Every cultivator nodded, expressing that they already had a Tao companion. The lanky male cultivator painfully closed his eyes. In the field, Gu Qing-shan sighed as her thoughts turned. He really didn't want to fall out with this strange angel. "About that, although I haven't been in a proper relationship before, I really don't have any feelings for you," Gu Qing-shan patiently replied. The pixies all gasped in shock. "She's already laid her cards on the table. That woman is so pitiful." Sure enough, Frost was already stunned. Gu Qing-shan smiled and spoke with a gentle tone. "Actually, we can be friends. I think it's a good idea to get along as friends." Frost thought for a bit, then replied, "All right, then we'll be friends. You let me help you, I won't take up the position of your Tao companion." She lowered her voice. "Then we'll silently become one." Sha, a sword phantom flashed. Frost's projection was instantly destroyed. The Six Paths' great mountain sword hovered in the air, giving off a frigid gleam. Shanu. She used her Law-Breaker ability to directly destroy the sacred angel's projection. Gu Qing-shan felt like she was pardoned and wiped the cold sweat off her forehead. "Shanu, thank goodness," Shanu coldly replied. "Don't worry, Gongzi, I'll kill as many shameless women as she comes." The Chao Yin sword mimicked her tone, and coldly chimed as well. The earth sword circled around Gu Qing-shan and asked, "You seem to be afraid of that woman?" Gu Qing-shan muses, "No, I just instinctively don't want to see her." How strange. You don't like such a woman? Her figure isn't good? Or do you not like her voice?" The earth sword asked. "No, her figure." Gu Qing-shan suddenly realized and looked around. The pixies and cultivators were all looking at him with an expression of longing, waiting for him to continue. Everyone was watching with great interest. Two female cultivators were eating sunflower seeds in the back. Gu Qing-shan kept his mouth shut. At the same time, the dusty world's secret passage. As the sacred angel's spell was interrupted, the light around her body instantly dissipated. "How regretful! It's all that damn sword spirit's fault." She roared in unwillingness. Endless terrifying aura flowed around her body. Her previous holy aura was completely gone. The entire secret passage was filled with intense wind that surged like a tsunami. "Gu Qing-shan, although you have the sacrificial dance, your cultivation level is too low. You can't stop my power." "No, I have to find you. I have to find you. I should have been one of those lost identities." Chapter 1233. The Pillar to Heaven. There was a flight of stairs on the pillar that led straight to the clouds. The cultivators and pixies climbed up the clouds together. Frost's appearance was only a small interlude. Right now, everyone was trying their best to climb the heavenly pillar and reach the divine mountain of Sumeru. "The last time I was here, this sky pillar was broken. Why is it all right now?" One of the cultivators mumbled in a puzzled tone. Yes, according to the records, this sky pillar has been broken for a very long time. The cultivators wanted to search for the immortal lake of inversion within the layer of clouds. Another cultivator continued. That immortal lake is not easy to find. Usually, people would only find it after searching for a long time. It is said that in ancient times, there were immortals in the clouds who specialized in testing cultivators. Unfortunately, the immortals have disappeared without a trace. Gu Qingshan didn't say anything. She just kept climbing in silence. It seemed like as the godly Mt Shumi recovered, the heavenly pillar also became complete. He wondered how those disgusting monsters on godly Mt Shumi were dealt with in the end. How did Master find the immortal lake? Master sigh, perhaps Master doesn't even need to look for him. He just needs to think about it and he'll be able to remember. What kind of person was Master? When he first met his master, she was one of the 3 saints of the mortal world. Later on, when they went to the ancient era, they found out that she was the daughter of the Barren Cloud Heavenly Palace's palace master. Because she was born with a golden lotus flower and possessed peerless talent, she was envied by the divine race and cursed. But now, it seemed that Master's identity wasn't just that. The ancient cultivators did not know so much about the 6 paths of reincarnation. The more she thought about it, the more confused Gu Qingshan felt. The heavenly pillar had penetrated deep into the clouds. After climbing for a few hundred breaths of time, they suddenly poked their heads out of the sea of clouds. Right in front of them, a vast lake appeared in front of them. The edge of the lake blended with the clouds, looking boundless. Based on her previous experience, Gu Qingshan stretched out her hand and made a hand seal, then flew into the lake first. The others followed suit. The pixies and cultivators fell into the lake, following Gu Qingshan as they dived deeper and deeper until the light around them became darker and darker. In the end, the lake was so dark that nothing could be seen. Everyone continued to dive, and even when they spread out their divine telekinesis, they could only explore the endless darkness. Gu Qingshan gestured for everyone to wait. After a few breaths, a dim glimmer of light flashed in the darkness. This light was almost undetectable, but the cultivators had already released their inner sight to search for it. Let's go. Gu Qingshan transmitted her voice to everyone. Everyone moved in a grandiose manner toward the source of the faint light. After a while, the surroundings gradually became bright. In the clear water of the lake, the gentle sunlight shone down from the sky, indicating the direction to float up. Everyone quickly floated up and leaped out of the lake. The lake water was vast, and the clouds were boundless as far as the eye could see. The cultivators all looked at Gu Qingshan. Only cultivators who faced their Sumeru Lord Realm tribulation would be able to see the divine mountain of clear glass that connected heaven and earth. Gu Qingshan sensed the subtle ripples in the void. She spread out her divine sense and scanned the surrounding thousands of miles. Finally, she saw the mountain. The divine mountain of Sumeru. At this point, the divine mountain of Sumeru had returned to its original glassy color, no longer showing the gloomy gloominess of before. "Come with me," Gu Qingshan called out, took flight, and flew towards the divine mountain. Everyone followed her order. A few dozen breaths later, the group stopped at the foot of the divine mountain. The void of space split open as a monkey jumped out. As soon as the macaque saw Gu Qingshan, it shouted, "You again!" Gu Qingshan nodded. "That's me." The monkey clasped his fist and respectfully spoke. "Thank you for your assistance and saving the divine mountain of Sumer. You're welcome. I only did it for the convenience of my tribulation." Gu Qingshan returned the gesture. Hearing that, the cultivators were so shocked that they forgot to breathe. What? The divine mountain was saved by this cultivator who broke through to the Sumer Lord realm? Who exactly is he to be able to accomplish such a great feat? A female cultivator suddenly spoke up. Wait a minute, when the divine mountain of Sumer was on the verge of destruction, he was the one who saved it? Everyone turned to the female cultivator. only to see that she was the daughter of the Star River Saint. The monkey glanced at the female cultivator and nodded. It was his and his Shifu's joint efforts, truly impressive. Gu Qingshan said. Let's not talk about small talk, we're going to climb the mountain now, all right? The Divine Mountain is also waiting for you, the monkey said. He took out a Dharma gong and a gavel from his back and told everyone, strike the Dharma gong and you'll be guided in by the Divine Mountain. The Dharma gong will randomly take one of your epithets, decide according to the epithet you receive, and send you to different corners of the Divine Mountain. Who's first? Everyone turned to Gu Qingshan. With a troubled expression, Gu Qingshan abruptly moved and retreated behind everyone. He clasped his fist to the group. Everyone, please go first. I've seen your epithets, so I naturally know your abilities, so I'll be prepared. Everyone was surprised. So that's what it was, this great cultivator was truly meticulous. But the monkey raised his voice. Brother Cat, your big tabby cat epithet has reached the limit of Mahasvara thaumaturgy. The Divine Mountain specifically ordered you to strike it first, so that you can go in and discuss something with it first. I've already avoided it so carefully, why did you have to say my epithet out loud? Gu Qingshan was full of resentment, under the indescribable gazes of the cultivators. He stepped forward and struck the Dharma gong. A voice came from the Dharma gong. Gu Qingshan, due to the Divine Mountain's care, today's epithet will be, Cat King is, the Dharma gong stopped for a bit, but couldn't find a way to describe it, so he angrily shouted. Gu Qingshan, location of entry, Samsara Divine Palace. A layer of light appeared around Gu Qingshan's body, enveloped him, and disappeared with a sha. Alright, next. Gu Qingshan only felt himself being dazed for a split second before he disappeared. A second later, the scenery around him changed. He found himself standing in the middle of a palace. There were 6 doors to the palace, and there was a long queue outside each door. Gu Qingshan looked around only to see a busy scene. Quite a few people were maintaining order in the palace. Silence. Silence. Don't cut the queue. Those who cut the queue will go straight to Huang Quan. That pig over there, I'm talking about you, your only choices are the Huang Quan realm and the Beast King realm. Why are you trying to squeeze into the human realm? You only have the Huang Quan realm left now. Following that, a desperate pig's cry resounded. The pig was gone. Gu Qingshan couldn't help but wipe the sweat off his forehead. So what exactly is going on here? He suddenly saw a familiar person. Bai Zhuo. Bai Zhuo was maintaining order, so he quickly walked over as soon as he saw Gu Qingshan. Thank you for avenging me and Chang Yuli last time, killing that vicious tiger. He clasped his fist and thanked her. It's fine, what's going on here? Gu Qingshan asked. The Divine Mountain is about to split into the samsara again, so all the demonic beasts from before will have to reincarnate again, Bai Zhuo replied. That pig just now, pig demon. So the pig demon went to Huang Quan? Yes, the Divine Mountain is actually a miniature samsara. Cultivators who face their tribulation usually have to pass through the 6 peaks to reach the top. Return to the human realm, or the path to heaven. The path to heaven. As Gu Qingshan repeated that, he suddenly had a thought. Before, Renedal couldn't find the Divine Mountain's path to heaven, so she could only leave the Qilin here to continue searching for it for her. After so many years, even when the Divine Mountain was about to be destroyed, the Qilin still couldn't find the path to heaven. In the recorded history of the cultivation world, the Divine Mountain had always been used to face tribulation, so no cultivator had ever found the Sumeru Mountain's path to heaven. Where exactly is the path to heaven? Chapter 1234. Brother Gu, Hm? Gu Qingshan regained his senses. Bai Zhuo explained. The Divine Mountain said that it summoned you this time because there's a minor problem and a major problem. As long as you help it solve both problems, the Divine Mountain will directly send you to the summit. then help you upgrade Mountain of Orange to a Summer Lord Thaumaturgy. Guqing Shan's eyes glowed. It had been a long time since he received a large amount of soul points. He didn't even get any soul points from killing Tsang Wuzhang. The war god Yui's judgment was that Tsang Wuzhang's strength couldn't compare to a true wraith might, and he wasn't at the same level as Guqing Shan. So he didn't get any soul points. Guqing Shan currently had the power of 3 dragons, so if he wanted to obtain soul points through battle, he would have to kill enemies at the level of a wraith might or a wraith lord. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to obtain any soul points. He could only rely on the sacrificial dance and Mountain of Orange right now. The sacrificial dance wasn't something that could be performed at any time. Mountain of Orange required 1 soul point per second. If Mountain of Orange it could be upgraded and obtain more soul points, that would naturally be the best outcome. With that in mind, Guqing Shan asked, "Can Mountain of Orange become even stronger?" "That's what the Divine Mountain said. A Summer Thaumaturgy is stronger than a Mahasvara Thaumaturgy," Baizhua replied. "Very well, what does it want me to help solve?" "Let us first take a look at the minor problem. Divine Mountain, please lead us there." Baizhua respectfully bowed towards the sky above the Divine Palace. Instantly, the scenery around Guqing Shan and Baizhua changed. They left the Divine Palace and arrived at a barren wasteland filled with jagged rock. This place was filled with ghostly flames, and there was nothing edible on the ground. There were only ferocious evil spirits, leading groups of humans who were barely clothed, and fighting with each other endlessly. The humans who were captured in battle were immediately turned into slaves, humiliated and tortured, while the wraiths leading them howled triumphantly. Wraith Realm. Guqing Shan observed the wraiths and commented. Noticing his gaze, Baizhua replied, "Indeed, these are primordial wraiths, truly powerful wraiths, as well as the rulers of the Wraith Realm, completely different from those masked guys. Indeed, they're more ferocious. The human race is just their entertainment." Guqing Shan looked at those people and shook her head. He noticed a wraith's facial features, then recalled Tsang Wuzhang's mask. The mask was painted with the appearance of this demon. The evil spirit released countless afterimages, beating his opponent to the point where he couldn't resist at all. Then, he directly tore off one of his opponent's arms and started eating it. "So the guy's hex borrows the power of the primordial evil spirits," Guqing Shan muttered. "Speaking of which, I still haven't seen the true wraiths of the Wraith Realm, only low-level wraiths, normal wraiths, and humans who have surrendered to the Wraith Realm." "What about those primitive evil spirits?" Baizhua said. "The reincarnated one is here." Guqing Shan put down her thoughts and looked at the battlefield. The wraiths seemed to have sensed something, so they all stopped and looked up at the void of space. A large group of people descended from the sky, landing in the middle of the wilderness. There was a thin layer of light around their bodies, protecting them and temporarily isolating them from this world. "Come, join the Wraith Realm. This place has everything you want," one of the wraiths spoke with a resounding voice. The group of reincarnated people exchanged glances. Someone gathered their courage and asked, "How do you know what I want?" Another wraith stepped forward, looked down at the group, and spoke in a low voice. "Of course we know, all those who have ties with the Wraith Realm hold intense malice in their hearts. My friends, do you wish to commit evil?" The wraith from before roared. "Come, enter the Wraith Realm, you can kill anyone you want. Ravage women. Torture men. Burn, kill, pillage. Commit all kinds of evil. In this place no one will stop you because this is the rule that the Wraith Realm upholds." The group of people looked behind the wraiths, only to see a few weak men and women being pushed to the ground and bullied, while the muscular warriors laughed in response. A few of the reincarnated people stepped forward. "This is the world I dream of. Doing evil is the happiest thing. Ahahaha, unrestrained by any laws or morals, I like this place. I want to reincarnate here. Me too, this place suits my temperament." The group of people stayed behind. Guqing Shan turned to Baizhua. Baizhuo explained. There was a small problem during the Divine Mountain's reconstruction of the samsara. Now, every living being will be faced with more than two choices after death. They will have to choose which world they want to reincarnate into, Gu Qingshan said. So that's how it was. After those people stayed behind, the light around their bodies slowly faded. They had become part of this world. Instantly, the wraith's presence changed. Newcomers, one of the wraiths uttered a single word, which was quickly followed up by the other wraiths. You'll have to start as slaves. The humans under their command laughed maniacally, wielding various weapons in their hands as they charged forward. Countless desperate screams resounded. Baizhuo asked, "Can you tell?" Gu Qingshan crossed her arms and replied, "The wraiths can tempt those who reincarnated to stay behind. In truth, I don't think they've done anything wrong. Those who desire to commit evil naturally have to bear the evil of others. I also agree, but that's not the problem." Baizhuo clapped his hands. The scenery of the Wraith realm disappeared in front of their eyes. Following that, an endless mountain range appeared in front of them. The mountain range was lush with lush greenery, clear water flowed like a stream, and countless strange flowers and fruits grew. A large gorilla raised a small flag and shouted, "Follow me, come, follow me to see the scenery here." The group of reincarnated people followed closely behind him. "Look, this stream, it's so clear, so sweet. This place is heaven on earth, with countless natural sceneries and abundant fruits for you to eat and drink. As long as you join the Beast King realm, you'll be able to transform into any animal, whether it's a cute and stupid style or a mighty style, it's up to you. Can you turn back into human form? Of course, you can change as you please. You'll even obtain the corresponding Beast King power while in human form." Suddenly, someone couldn't help but ask, "Then, is there anything that we must do? Something that we must do?" The gorilla turned around and pointed at that person. "That's a good question. You must participate in the monthly Grand Carnival." "Whoa, that's great. I want to become a majestic lion and obtain the power of a lion. I want to become a monkey, the kind that pops out of a rock." "You guys are so boring. I want to become a bird and soar through the sky." Everyone excitedly discussed. Baizhuo clapped his hands. The scenery disappeared from their eyes. Another world appeared. On a square filled with weapons and armor, a man in armor loudly declared, "Come to the Azura realm, take a look, take a look, take a look, we'll give you top-grade weapons, you can choose as you please. And the corresponding peerless scriptures." The group of reincarnated people curiously looked around. Someone picked up a flaming battle axe and asked with interest, "Is there a corresponding way to use this weapon?" "Of course." The man stepped forward and took out a few scriptures, handing them over. Someone else asked, "I don't like to use weapons, is there a way to fight barehanded?" "There is as well." The man casually took out 7 to 8 scriptures. "If you join the Azura realm, every time your strength increases by a rank, you'll receive corresponding scriptures, armor for free, and if you're really outstanding, we'll even give you a super powerful pet. Other than that, the man clapped his hands. The void of space warped as a few women appeared. Everyone gasped in shock. "Did you see that? The women of our Azura race are the most beautiful existences in the entire samsara, ah ha ha ha, but to win the heart of an Azura woman, you'll first have to defeat her." Baizhuo looked at Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan cleared her throat and commented, "That's quite a good slogan." Baizhuo clapped his hands and the Azura world also left. "The other worlds are doing the same. In short, all of the samsara worlds are recruiting people," Baizhuo said. "Why are they in such a hurry to recruit people? What's their goal?" Gu Qingshan asked. Baizhuo explained, "The more people a world has, the more resources they'll receive from the Divine Mountain, allowing their world to become stronger." Gu Qingshan thought for a bit and said, "Isn't that a good thing? I can see that every world is doing a good job in recruiting people. So what's the small problem you mentioned?" Baizhuo clapped his hands. A new world appeared in front of them. Clouds and mist. Other than clouds, there was nothing else. There was nothing else. Where is this place? The Heavenly Palace, ah? Why isn't anyone from the Heavenly Palace here? Saying so, Gu Qingshan looked at the man sitting in the mist. Chang Yuli. This was the human scout who went on a mission with Bai Zhuo, only to die a horrible death. Chang Yuli stood up and smiled bitterly. Brother Gu, you might not know this, but the construction of this heavenly palace consumes a lot of the Divine Mountain's resources. The Divine Mountain has spent a lot of effort just to create these clouds, Bai Zhuo replied. Among the samsara, the other 5 worlds can attract reincarnated people, but this heavenly palace is too shabby. With only a few clouds, no one is willing to come. Gu Qingshan looked around and muttered, compared to the previous worlds, it's still far from enough, Bai Zhuo sighed. The less people come, the more impossible it is to complete the heavenly palace. Chang Yuli shook his head. The more shabby the heavenly palace is, the less people will come, and then it becomes a vicious cycle. So the Divine Mountain wants me to bring people to the heavenly palace? Gu Qingshan asked. That's right, the two of them answered at the same time. There's only a single cloud. That's too hard. Who would want to live in such a world? Gu Qingshan thought for a bit, then rolled up her sleeves. I'll give it a try. First let in someone qualified to reincarnate into the heavenly palace. Bai Zhuo took out a jade disc, glanced at it, then said, There's a human cultivator who sacrificed himself in the battle against the ghosts. He's qualified to reincarnate into either the heavenly palace or the Azura realm, currently hesitating. Should I let him in first? All right, Gu Qingshan replied. Bai Zhuo released a ray of light towards the jade disc. With a ho sound, a male cultivator appeared in front of the 3 of them. He looked around and doubtfully asked, This place is... Gu Qingshan displayed a dignified expression and stepped forward. Fellow Dao Seeker, congratulations, congratulations? The cultivator asked. Gu Qingshan clasped her hands together and respectfully replied, Indeed, you were originally the mighty heaven-shaking great emperor of the 33 heavens, but because you were worried about the suffering of the lower realms, you entered the mortal world, went through numerous tribulations, and finally returned. The cultivator froze. Gu Qingshan continued, Fellow Dao Seeker, please return to the heaven realm and take charge of the heavenly palace, intimidating the samsara. Take charge of the heavenly palace, intimidating the samsara. The cultivator muttered a few words and looked around. Clouds drifted around. The heavenly palace. Chapter 1235. Brother Gu, HM? Gu Qingshan regained his senses. Bai Zhuo explained. The Divine Mountain said that it summoned you this time because there's a minor problem and a major problem. As long as you help it solve both problems, the Divine Mountain will directly send you to the summit, then help you upgrade Mountain of Orange to a Sumer Lord Thaumaturgy. Gu Qingshan's eyes glowed. It had been a long time since he received a large amount of soul point. He didn't even get any soul points from killing Tsang Wuzhang. The war god Yui's judgment was that Tsang Wuzhang's strength couldn't compare to a true wraith might, and he wasn't at the same level as Gu Qingshan. So he didn't get any soul points. Gu Qingshan currently had the power of 3 dragons, so if he wanted to obtain soul points through battle, he would have to kill enemies at the level of a wraith might or a wraith lord. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to obtain any soul points. He could only rely on the sacrificial dance and Mountain of Orange right now. The sacrificial dance wasn't something that could be performed at any time. Mountain of Orange required 1 soul point per second. If Mountain of Orange could be upgraded and obtain more soul points, that would naturally be the best outcome. With that in mind, Gu Qingshan asked, Can Mountain of Orange become even stronger? That's what the Divine Mountain said. A Sumer Thaumaturgy is stronger than a Mahasvara Thaumaturgy. Bai Zhuo replied. Very well, what does it want me to help solve? Let us first take a look at the minor problem. Divine Mountain, please lead us there. Bai Zhuo respectfully bowed towards the sky above the Divine Palace. Instantly, the scenery around Gu Qingshan and Bai Zhuo changed. They left the divine palace and arrived at a barren wasteland filled with jagged rock. This place was filled with ghastly flames, nothing edible could be seen on the ground, only fearsome wraiths, leading groups of naked humans to fight against one another. The humans who were captured in battle were immediately turned into slaves, humiliated and tortured, while the wraiths leading them howled triumphantly. Wraith Realm, Gu Qing Shan observed the wraiths and commented. Noticing his gaze, Baizhua replied, "Indeed, these are primordial wraiths, truly powerful wraiths, as well as the rulers of the Wraith Realm, completely different from those masked fellows. Indeed, they're more ferocious. The human race is just their entertainment." Gu Qing Shan looked at those people and shook her head. He noticed a wraith's facial features, then recalled Song Wuzhang's mask. The mask was painted with the appearance of this demon. The evil spirit released countless afterimages, beating his opponent to the point where he couldn't resist at all. Then, he directly tore off one of his opponent's arms and started eating it. So the guy's hex borrows the power of the primordial evil spirits. Gu Qing Shan muttered. Speaking of which, I still haven't seen the true wraiths of the Wraith Realm, only low-level wraiths, normal wraiths, and humans who have surrendered to the Wraith Realm. What about those primitive evil spirits? Baizhua said. The reincarnated one is here. Gu Qing Shan put down her thoughts and looked at the battlefield. The wraiths seemed to have sensed something, so they all stopped and looked up at the void of space. A large group of people descended from the sky, landing in the middle of the wilderness. There was a thin layer of light around their bodies, protecting them and temporarily isolating them from this world. Come, join the Wraith Realm. This place has everything you want. One of the wraiths spoke with a resounding voice. The group of reincarnated people exchanged glances. Someone gathered their courage and asked, "How do you know what I want?" Another wraith stepped forward, looked down at the group, and spoke in a low voice. "Of course we know, all those who have ties with the Wraith Realm hold intense malice in their hearts. My friends, do you wish to commit evil?" The wraith from before roared. "Come, enter the Wraith Realm, you can kill anyone you want. Ravage women. Torture men. Burn, kill, pillage. Commit all kinds of evil. In this place, no one will stop you because this is the rule that the Wraith Realm upholds." The group of people looked behind the wraiths, only to see a few weak men and women being pushed to the ground and bullied, while the muscular warriors laughed in response. A few of the reincarnated people stepped forward. "This is the world I dream of. Doing evil is the happiest thing. Ahahaha, unrestrained by any laws or morals, I like this place. I want to reincarnate here. Me too, this place suits my temperament." The group of people stayed behind. Gu Qing Shan turned to Baizhua. Baizhua explained. There was a small problem during the Divine Mountain's reconstruction of the samsara. Now, every living being will be faced with more than two choices after death. They will have to choose which world they want to reincarnate into, Gu Qing Shan said. So that's how it was. After those people stayed behind, the light around their bodies slowly faded. They had become part of this world. Instantly, the wraith's presence changed. Newcomers, one of the wraiths uttered a single word, which was quickly followed up by the other wraiths. "You'll have to start as slaves." The humans under their command laughed maniacally, wielding various weapons in their hands as they charged forward. Countless desperate screams resounded. Baizhua asked, "Can you tell?" Gu Qing Shan crossed her arms and replied, "The wraiths can tempt those who reincarnated to stay behind. In truth, I don't think they've done anything wrong. Those who desire to commit evil naturally have to bear the evil of others. I also agree, but that's not the problem." Baizhua clapped his hands. The scenery of the Wraith Realm disappeared in front of their eyes. Following that, an endless mountain range appeared in front of them. The mountain range was lush with lush greenery, clear water flowed like a stream, and countless strange flowers and fruits grew. A large gorilla raised a small flag and shouted, "Follow me, come, follow me to see the scenery here." The group of reincarnated people followed closely behind him. Look, this stream, it's so clear, so sweet. This place is heaven on earth, with countless natural sceneries and abundant fruits for you to eat and drink. As long as you join the Beast King realm, everyone will be able to transform into any animal, whether it's a cute and stupid style or a mighty style, it's up to you. Can you turn back into human form? Of course, you can change it at will. You'll even obtain the corresponding Beast King power in human form. Suddenly, someone couldn't help but ask, "Then, is there anything that we must do? Something that we must do?" The gorilla turned around and pointed at that person. "That's a good question. You must participate in the monthly Grand Carnival." "Whoa, that's great! I want to become a majestic lion and obtain the power of a lion. I want to become a monkey, the kind that pops out of a rock. You guys are so boring. I want to become a bird and soar through the sky." Everyone excitedly discussed. Baizhua clapped his hands. The scenery disappeared from their eyes. Another world appeared. On a plaza filled with weapons and armor, a man in armor loudly declared, "Come to the Azura realm, take a look, take a look, take a look, we'll give you top-grade weapons, you can choose any you like." And the corresponding peerless scriptures. The group of reincarnated people curiously looked around. Someone picked up a flaming battle axe and asked with interest, "Is there a corresponding way to use this weapon?" "Of course." The man stepped forward and took out a few scriptures, handing them over. Someone else asked, "I don't like to use weapons, is there a way to fight barehanded?" "There is as well." The man casually took out 7 to 8 scriptures. "If you join the Azura realm, every time your strength increases by a rank, you'll receive corresponding scriptures, armor for free, and if you're really outstanding, we'll even give you a super powerful pet. Other than that, the man clapped his hands. The void of space warped as a few women appeared. Everyone gasped in shock. "Did you see that? The women of our Azura race are the most beautiful existences in the entire samsara, ah ha ha ha, but to win the heart of an Azura woman, you'll first have to defeat her." Baizhua looked at Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan cleared her throat and commented, "That's quite a good slogan." Baizhua clapped his hands and the Azura world also left. "The other worlds are doing the same. In short, all of the samsara worlds are recruiting people," Baizhua said. "Why are they in such a hurry to recruit people? What's their goal?" Gu Qingshan asked. Baizhua explained, "The more people a world has, the more resources they'll receive from the Divine Mountain, allowing their world to become stronger." Gu Qingshan thought for a bit and said, "Isn't that a good thing? I can see that every world is doing a good job in recruiting people. So what's the small problem you mentioned?" Baizhua clapped his hands. A new world appeared in front of them. Clouds and mist. Other than clouds, there was fog. Other than fog, there were only clouds. There was nothing else. "This place is the Heavenly Palace, ah? Why isn't anyone from the Heavenly Palace here?" Saying so, Gu Qingshan looked at the man sitting in the mist. Chang Yuli. This was the human scout who went on a mission with Baizhua, only to die tragically in the tiger's mouth. Chang Yuli stood up and smiled bitterly. "Brother Gu, you might not know this, but the construction of this heavenly palace consumes a lot of the Divine Mountain's resources. The Divine Mountain has spent a lot of effort just to construct these clouds," Baizhua replied. "Among the samsara, the other 5 worlds are all able to attract reincarnated people, but this heavenly palace is too shabby, with only a few clouds. No one is willing to come." Gu Qingshan looked around and muttered, "Compared to the previous worlds, this is still far from enough." Baizhua sighed. "The less people come, the more impossible it is to complete the heavenly palace." Chang Yuli shook his head. "The more shabby the heavenly palace is, the less people will come, and then it becomes a vicious cycle." "So the Divine Mountain wants me to bring more people to the heavenly palace?" Gu Qingshan asked. "That's right," the two of them answered at the same time. "There's only a single cloud. That's too hard. Who would want to live in such a world?" Gu Qingshan thought for a bit, then rolled up her sleeves. "I'll give it a try. First led and someone qualified to reincarnate into the heavenly palace. Baijua took out a jade disc, glanced at it, then said, "There's a human cultivator who sacrificed himself in the battle against the ghosts. He's qualified to reincarnate into either the heavenly palace or the Azura realm, currently hesitating. Should I let him in first?" "All right," Gu Qingshan replied. Baijua released a ray of light towards the jade disc. With a ho, a male cultivator appeared in front of the three of them. He looked around and doubtfully asked, "This place is—" Gu Qingshan displayed a solemn expression and stepped forward. "Fellow Dao Seeker, congratulations, congratulate me?" the cultivator asked. Gu Qingshan clasped her hands together and respectfully replied, "Indeed, you were originally the mighty heaven-shaking great emperor of the 33 heavens, but because you were worried about the suffering of the lower realms, you entered the mortal world, went through many trials and tribulations, and finally returned." The cultivator froze. Gu Qingshan continued, "Fellow Dao Seeker, please return to the heaven realm and take charge of the heavenly palace, intimidating the samsara. Take charge of the heavenly palace, intimidating the samsara." The cultivator muttered a few words and looked around. Clouds drifted around the heavenly palace. He sighed and spoke with a bitter voice. "Good, good, good. I, the mighty heaven-shaking great emperor of the 33 heavens, have finally returned to the heaven realm." Chapter 1236. In front of Mount Sumeru, Gu Qingshan was hovering in the air. Countless sprites of light flew out from his left eye and slowly circled around him. Gu Qingshan could sense a sense of joy and excitement from these sprites of light. "Our hope," the worlds whispered. "If that's the case, there's no need to wait any longer. Go." Gu Qingshan endured the intense pain coming from his eye and said. Hearing his order, the sprites of light flew towards the divine mountain and slowly entered it. 1 breath, 2 breath, 3 breath. All of a sudden, the divine mountain of Sumeru suddenly gave off a pure prismatic light that illuminated the boundless void. A total of 6 worlds appeared in front of Gu Qingshan's eyes. As Gu Qingshan's gaze passed through the samsara worlds, she found that the laws of the samsara worlds were gradually becoming more complete. From now on, those who reincarnated into the worlds no longer had a choice. They first had to enter Huang Quan and reincarnate into the worlds from there. This was the correct method of reincarnation. The divine mountain of Sumeru was the first to correct this problem after obtaining the power of infinite worlds. Gu Qingshan's gaze fell onto the heaven realm, only to see that the people he guided to the heaven realm were all busy constructing the heavenly palace. Those who were able to reincarnate into the heaven realm were all people with great willpower and strength. Their willpower and determination definitely couldn't be compared to normal mortals. Inside the heavenly palace, a strand of immortal essence emerged from the clouds and silently seeped into those people's bodies. They began to be nourished by the immortal essence. One day, they would completely break away from their mortal bodies and become true living beings of the heavenly realm, then slowly grow until they finally become heavenly beings. This process would be a long one, but they wouldn't need to cultivate to reincarnate into the heaven realm, so there wouldn't be any issues. Unlike cultivators who had to go through countless dangerous heavens tribulations to become heavenly beings. Gu Qingshan silently watched for a while, then suddenly covered his right eye. Complete darkness. His left eye couldn't see. Carrying so many world fragments had caused great damage to his left eye. Gu Qingshan looked at the war god Ui. Sure enough, a line of glowing text was already there. Note: you are blind in one eye. Gu Qingshan sighed helplessly. All of a sudden, the godly Mt. Shumi's radiance retracted. Everything returned to normal. Baijua's figure appeared and smiled at Gu Qingshan. Big bro Gu, I really don't know what to say. You've resolved the 2 problems of the Divine Mountain, so there's nothing for us to worry about from now on. We just need to live our lives in peace. Looking at his bright smile, Gu Qingshan pondered for a moment and said, I can't stay here for long. Baizhua, you must remember one thing. As a cultivator, you must never have peace in your heart. Why? Baizhua asked blankly. Because all the stability in the world is a fleeting illusion, a sandstorm that you can't control, a dangerous wall that you can't lean on, Gu Qingshan said. Big brother Gu, I don't understand, Baizhua said. Let me ask you, why was the Divine Mountain almost destroyed back then? What are you fighting for? And why were you able to return from the dead? Gu Qingshan asked again. He asked further. If I didn't come to face the tribulation last time, what would have happened to the human cities behind you? Would your parents and loved ones be able to survive from the ghost army's attack? Baizhua thought for a bit, then slowly shook his head. Gu Qingshan reached out a finger, pointed at him from afar, and spoke in a low voice. Remember, there is only a single path in this world, and that is to become stronger, strong enough to protect everything around you. An azure light flashed. Gu Qingshan followed the light and was transported to the summit of Mount Sumeru. Baizhua stood still for a long time. The summit of the Divine Mountain. Gu Qingshan appeared and looked down. The Divine Mountain didn't make things difficult for those cultivators and pixies, but the samsara world was vast, so they had no choice but to travel as fast as they could, hoping to reach the summit as soon as possible. The clouds around them scattered. Heaven and earth resonated as an indescribable power manifested. Gu Qingshan stood at the summit of Mount Sumeru, silently sensing the vast invisible power in the sky. This was the power of the Divine Mountain. The Divine Mountain had requested two things from Gu Qingshan, and Gu Qingshan did it. And now, the Divine Mountain was about to fulfill its end of the bargain. Lines of glowing text quickly appeared on the war god Ui frowny face. You've helped the heavenly palace fill its first population, as well as helped the Divine Mountain of Sumeru obtain enough world origin. From now on, the Divine Mountain of Sumeru will return to normal operations. The Divine Mountain of Sumeru will upgrade your Mahasvara Thaumaturgy Orange Mountain to the Sumeru Thaumaturgy most suitable for you in accordance with your Cat King epithet. As a reward for your actions, your Mahasvara Thaumaturgy, Evil Suppressor Orange Mountain will evolve. The Divine Mountain has gotten used to communicating with you through your spear. Please hold the true Crimson Demon Spear. Just like last time, and wait for the Divine Mountain of Sumeru to connect with you. Gu Qingshan then took out the true Crimson Demon Spear and held it in his hand. The invisible power in the sky abruptly descended, coiled around the spear, and flowed into Gu Qingshan's body. Arg, Gu Qingshan was enduring the power of the Divine Mountain with everything he had. All of a sudden, he noticed that the invisible power on the spear was slowly giving off faint starlight. A line of text appeared on the war god Ui frowny face. The broken souls of the infinite worlds are blessing you. They are grateful for everything you've done for them. Your Sumeru Thaumaturgy has changed. Please wait for 5 seconds. Your Thaumaturgy's evolution will soon be complete. 5 for you complete. Your Mahasvara Thaumaturgy has evolved into a Sumeru Thaumaturgy. Special note. Due to the blessings of infinite worlds, this Thaumaturgy had mutated in accordance with your epithet. You've obtained the following Sumeru Thaumaturgy, Orange Sovereign Transformation, mutated. When you use this Thaumaturgy, you will transform into the Orange Sovereign and obtain the following abilities. Energy absorption. You will no longer absorb origin power of the soul from the void of space, but through eating and devouring, the origin power of the soul you obtain will be doubled. Ghostly Shadow of Night. After nightfall, you will be able to communicate with supernatural artifacts. After receiving their permission, you will be able to borrow one of their abilities, once per night. Reading the description of Ghostly Shadow of Night, Gu Qingshan felt his heart jumping. The power of the Divine Mountain of Sumeru combined with the blessings of the broken worlds definitely resulted in this ability. Gu Qingshan looked down. The others hadn't reached the top of the mountain yet. There was no one else at the top of the mountain, so he couldn't help but feel tempted and unleashed the Thaumaturgy, Orange Sovereign Transformation. An orange cat abruptly appeared at the top of the mountain. The orange cat looked at his tail, body, paws, then stroked his ears and whiskers before slowly narrowing his eyes. This is the Orange Sovereign? Nothing has changed at all. Fortunately, the thaumaturgy has changed. The orange cat glanced at the sky. It was currently a bit dim, but it was still the time of night after dusk. The orange cat spread his paws and meowed towards the sky. A few moments later, an interested woo-woo sound resounded from the sky. Adorable had agreed. Receiving its agreement, the orange cat immediately activated his Sumeru thaumaturgy, ghostly shadow of night. He slowly melted into the darkness of the night and disappeared without a trace. The orange cat crouched on the ground and looked at himself. He couldn't see himself either. The orange cat slowly began to run. He didn't leave any traces behind where he had run. This way, no one would be able to discover his whereabouts. The orange cat slightly nodded. This borrowed spotless jade was quite interesting. Other than that, ghostly shadow of night and Adorable's 100 lanterns were very different. 100 lanterns could borrow an enemy's power, but only once. Ghostly shadow of night could borrow the power of supernatural artifacts and could be used for an entire night. The orange cat slowly walked around the top of the mountain to experience the wonders of this thaumaturgy. If I can completely meld into the darkness of the night, a lot of things will become easier to do. His fighting style would also undergo new changes. A Sumeru thaumaturgy is truly amazing. Although it doesn't look any different from a Mahasvara thaumaturgy, it's definitely a more useful thaumaturgy. While thinking that, the orange cat continued to move forward. After a while, he abruptly stopped and retreated. At this point, the orange cat was at the back of the mountain, in front of a large rock on the cliff. He turned to look at the void of space outside the cliff. Meow! The orange cat called out in a low voice, his expression turning serious. Just now, it suddenly discovered that there was a slight fluctuation of spiritual power outside the cliff. Strange, this seems to be a spirit energy seal of Bai Hua sect. The orange cat pondered for a bit, recalling the scene of his previous tribulation. At the time I left first. Could it be that Shifu discovered something here? She knew that I would eventually come to Mount Sumeru to face the Sumer Lord Realm tribulation, so she left some sort of clue for me? With that in mind, the orange cat formed a hand seal with his paw. Meow manifest! All of a sudden, a spell emerged from the claw and flew out of the cliff, triggering countless wisps of spiritual light. These strands of light gathered in the void of space and manifested as a flight of stairs leading to the sky. Lines of glowing text quickly appeared in front of the orange cat's eyes. Frowny face, you've discovered the divine mountain of Sumer's path to heaven. The orange cat hesitated for a bit, then reached his paw out and carefully placed it on the stairs. His paw only touched thin air. The orange cat tried a few more times, but still couldn't touch the stairs. He looked at the stairs in confusion. Why can't I go up? The orange cat thought for a long time and tried many different methods, but still couldn't step onto the stairs. After a while, the light slowly faded away. The path to heaven had once again hidden itself, undetectable by anyone. A line of glowing text suddenly appeared on the war god Ui. Frowny face, you have two identities as a deity of Huang Quan, so you cannot ascend to heaven. Chapter 1237. War God Ui, which two identities of Huang Quan do I have? Gu Qingshan asked. The war god Ui replied, in truth you already know which two identities you have, but since you asked, you'll just tell me? Gu Qingshan followed up. I'll charge you, the war god Ui replied. The remaining soul points column flashed, and 200 soul points were deducted. Gu Qingshan. The war god Ui continued, you have two divine armaments from the shattered world of Huang Quan, the Devil King Warden Rod and Six Paths Great Mountain Sword respectively, and you are without a doubt their master, so your identities are the Huang Quan Devil King and Six Paths Great Mountain God. if you want to enter the path to heaven, you must give up these two identities. Gu Qingshan pondered. In other words, I must give up these two weapons? Correct? The war god I replied. Don't even think about it, Gu Qingshan blurted out. Another me had once warned me not to give up my identity as the Huang Quan Devil King. But the other party didn't mention the Six Paths Great Mountain Sword. Gu Qingshan froze. In my mind, the Devil King Warden Rod is important, but it's not like I can't give it up. But the Six Paths Great Mountain Sword has fought alongside me for so long, it's my sword. A sword cultivator would never give up on their sword. If the other me had the Six Paths Great Mountain Sword, he would definitely value this sword more and remind me. Since the other party didn't mention it, then, it seems the other me didn't have the Six Paths Great Mountain Sword. On the other hand, if I only had the Devil King Warden Rod, I might have considered the current situation. But if I had the Six Paths Great Mountain Sword, I definitely wouldn't give it up, nor would I give up my identity as Huang Quan. The other me doesn't have this sword. There was no doubt about it. Gu Qingshan sighed. Shifu, seems like I won't be able to find you for now, he silently muttered in his mind. 100 Flowers Fairy isn't a normal cultivator, so there's no need for anyone to worry about her. With that in mind, Gu Qingshan took a few steps back and left the cliff. At this moment, a commotion suddenly came from the other side of the cliff. The pixies and cultivators arrived one after another. In reality, there were demons arriving one after another just now. However, Gu Qingshan was busy checking on the situation on the path to heaven, so she did not bother about them. Gu Qingshan released her divine sense to investigate and found that everyone was present. He dispelled the orange sovereign state and returned to his human form. In an instant, ghostly shadow of night disappeared from his body. The fairies and cultivators immediately noticed his presence. The long-bearded old man was the first to fly over, shouting, "Pay attention! The last one to reach the top is Gu Qingshan. He's going to transform into Wang Qi." Behind him, the fairy kingdom said in a low voice, "Wrong, it's not Wang Qi, it's Wang Ba." The long-bearded old man turned around and glared at the king. "What's the difference between 7 and 8? I think it was 7, what do you think?" He looked at the cultivators who had followed him here. The cultivators exchanged glances and lowered their heads. Gu Qingshan raised her eyebrows and said, "I arrived earlier than all of you, you're cheating." The pixies shouted. "We've been here for a while now, but we didn't notice anyone else at the top of this mountain," the pixie king shouted. "Hurry and transform into Wang Ba. Hurry! Hurry! Hurry!" the long-bearded old man urged. The other cultivators also appeared expectant. Gu Qingshan was speechless. Anything else could be discussed, but he was clearly the first to arrive, yet he still wanted to transform into Wang Ba. That wasn't something he would do. "Hey, I really did arrive first." Saying so, he used his Sumeru thaumaturgy to turn into the orange cat and vanished in front of everyone. "Huh? Where did he go?" the long-bearded old man asked in confusion. From the void of space, a cat's meow resounded. "Meow meow, meow meow meow." Hearing that, the long-bearded old man nodded repeatedly. I believe you, you really did arrive first, you shouldn't have turned into Wang Ba." He turned around to look at another cultivator who was wiping his sweat. Before he could say anything, the divine mountain suddenly stirred. Layers of light gathered at the top of the mountain, giving off a sky-high pillar of light. The tribulation had been completed. And now, the divine mountain of Sumeru was about to send everyone back to their original worlds. In an instant, rays of spiritual light appeared and fell on everyone's body. Boom! The light enveloped everyone and took them away from the top of the mountain. Gu Qingshan and the pixies were quickly traveling through the void of space, about to reach the void of space where they came from. "Meow meow, oh no!" Gu Qingshan's expression changed. "I killed Song Wuzhang there, then borrowed the power of the tribulation to escape. That place should be surrounded by countless wraiths right now. Perhaps even the Wraith Lords are there. Without hesitation, Gu Qingshan released 3 coins with a wave of his paw. The Angel of Condemnation, the Demon King of Order, the Bramble Great Tree. The 3 coins resonated miraculously with each other, corresponding to their respective symbols. 2 rays of light flew out from the Angel of Condemnation coin and the Demon King of Order coin into Gu Qingshan's body. The Great Bramble Saint Tree coin gave off a light that struck the faint image of a great tree behind him. The Great Bramble Saint Tree had received Lola's order to stay by Gu Qingshan's side. The 3 powers had gathered. Meow, 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 meow. Gu Qingshan loudly called out. Although the long-bearded old man still couldn't see him, he loudly replied, "All right, let's go together." Gu Qingshan's mind moved. Boundless black fog flowed out from the 3 coins, quickly spreading and enveloping Gu Qingshan and the pixies. Patrol activated. The void of space around them instantly disappeared. A shining river of light appeared in front of everyone. The river of time. Everyone hovered above the river. Gu Qingshan looked at the river as well as the mist that was rising from it and sighed in relief. "We're safe now." He turned to the pixies and said, "Meow meow." An abrupt change occurred. The pixies only heard the sound of a cat meow from the other side, followed by silence. The meow of the cat carried a long note as it flew towards an unknown faraway place. In the blink of an eye, the sound disappeared. The long-bearded old man blinked, turned around, and asked, "He said to wait?" The Pixie King replied, "Yes, he said to wait for him. Did he say the word him?" The long-bearded old man asked. "According to his tone, he should have said that word," the king replied. "Then we'll wait here." The long-bearded old man made his decision. Gu Qingshan was flying through the endless void. None of the mysterious entities that appeared in the void of space could detect him. An immense force of attraction pulled his cat body towards a secret location that he hadn't seen for a long time. The giant corpse. While flying, Gu Qingshan silently doubted himself. The giant corpse hasn't contacted me for a long time. I've also been feeling anxious, not knowing how it's doing right now. And now, it suddenly teleported me there. Could it be something urgent? As Gu Qingshan silently thought, he was about to dispel his orange sovereign state. It's better for my main body to see the giant corpse. As soon as he thought that, he sensed something and looked down at the purple rope wrapped around his paw. The rope was tightly wrapped around his paw, not allowing it to move at all. This is the twine of Cloud Atlas that brings luck. Why did it suddenly wrap around my paw? Gu Qingshan went silent, then couldn't help but recall Lola's words at the time. In truth, I still have an occultism artifact. An occultism artifact passed down from the Bramble Bird clan, the twine of Cloud Atlas. Lola tied the purple hairband around her wrist and said in a low voice, "Don't worry. Its effect is a unique type of luck." Gu Qingshan stayed silent for a bit, then maintained his orange sovereign state and activated the thaumaturgy ghostly shadow of night. From what happened afterwards, this decision of his had, to a certain degree, determined his life and death. After an unknown amount of time, a barren world abruptly unfolded in front of him. Countless black skeletons tirelessly walked on the barren land. A gigantic bronze pillar stood between heaven and earth, both ends of which couldn't be seen. At this point, the orange cat arrived. He lightly landed in the void of space in front of the bronze pillar and looked up, only to see a set of white bones hidden inside a suit of black armor, tightly fastened to the bronze pillar. "Be careful," the giant corpse's voice suddenly called out. Chapter 1238. Be careful. Following this sentence, one of the black skeletons that covered the ground suddenly stopped. The giant corpse's voice resounded from the skeleton's mouth. "I don't know where you are, but I'm certain that you've arrived." The skeleton pointed at the giant corpse. "Hurry!" There's no time, help me kill those insects. Gu Qingshan looked up. There was almost no flesh left on the skeleton inside the black armor. The bones were full of bite marks. Only the neck and head of the giant corpse still had a bit of flesh that hadn't been completely devoured. A monster with 7 to 8 legs was crawling on top of the skeleton, chewing on the corpse bit by bit. The orange cat leapt up and silently flew towards the bronze pillar. He lightly landed on the giant corpse's shoulder, carefully approached one of the monsters, and carefully observed its appearance. Gu Qingshan swore that she had never seen such a monster before. This monster was about the size of 2 people, its entire body was made from black flesh and white bones, its eyes were a bit blank, but also full of ferocity, similar to a marine animal from my homeworld called a shark. It had a colorful, diamond-shaped mouth, and a long tongue full of mucus stuck out of its mouth. It licked the flesh of the giant corpse, and the flesh immediately turned into a soft liquid, which was sucked by the long tongue. It was truly unimaginable that the giant corpse's flesh had been completely devoured by such a monster, leaving only the neck and head of the corpse behind. The monster was so focused on eating the flesh that it didn't notice the orange cat who had just appeared. The orange cat silently approached and was about to act. Be careful, when this thing gets angry, it can spit out over 8 million tons of poison, turning this entire world into a liquid substance that can never be restored. The giant corpse's voice resounded again. What is this? The orange cat asked the black skeleton with his inner sight. An apocalypse door knocker, a terrifying insect that specializes in dealing with me. If it weren't for the fact that you happen to grasp a technique to completely conceal yourself, I wouldn't have allowed you to come here. If you appeared in front of it, you would be eaten without being able to resist, the giant corpse replied. Apocalypse, door knocker? What a strange name. The orange cat thought of something and asked, what if it's an artifact? Will it eat artifacts? The giant corpse replied, it won't, it only eats flesh and blood, it doesn't see tools at all, the orange cat sighed. Although it was temporarily invisible, it still had to unleash its weapon when it attacked. If the other party could eat the sword, then it would have to be even more careful. The orange cat began to speed up, turning from slowly approaching to sprinting. It suddenly jumped up and threw itself at the monster. The sword light flashed, only to see the orange cat biting the hilt of an ancient sword and slashing it through the monster's body. In a split second, another long sword came from the opposite direction and split the monster into 2. Swallow returns. Earth's choice. The monster's body suddenly expanded, and it let out an ear-piercing screech. Before it died, it prepared to spit venom. However, before it could complete its thoughts, its figure had already collapsed and vanished from space. The orange cat sighed. The black skeleton on the ground shouted anxiously, "Damn it! Here it comes again. Run!" The orange cat sensed an unimaginable danger. It suddenly sheathed its sword and flew towards the other shoulder of the giant corpse. At the last second, the orange cat leapt up from the corpse's shoulder. And then it happened. A black bolt of lightning descended from above, struck the bronze pillar, and completely enveloped the giant corpse. A terrifying aura capable of destroying everything manifested from the black lightning. The giant corpse's entire skeleton began to twitch from being struck by the black lightning. An intense gust of wind blew. The destructive power of destruction swept across this entire world. A few dozen seconds later, the black lightning finally disappeared. The entire world became silent. All the black skeletons were reduced to dust, trembling non-stop on the ground, trying to reform their bodies, but to no avail. Only a pile of powder gradually gathered together and formed a black skull. Finally, "It's over," the black skull spoke in relief. But the orange cat didn't relax. He hovered in midair, silently retreating far away. He could sense that the danger wasn't over yet. Sure enough, a few moments later, the bronze pillar that connected to the sky began to move. A series of rattling noises resounded. The orange cat looked up. Countless apocalypse door knockers were climbing down the bronze pillar. Each of them had 7 to 8 legs that stuck closely to the surface of the bronze pillar. Their movements weren't slow at all, quickly reaching the giant corpse's body. "Ah, no, I'm done for this time." The skull on the ground spoke in despair. The orange cat sent his voice. "Don't you have a way to deal with these things?" The giant corpse's voice resounded. "I've been beaten to the point where I've lost almost all of my power. I'm using the last bit of my power to summon you, Gu Qing Shan. You won't be able to stay here for long, and you won't be able to save me. All things have a beginning and an end. My time is up." He sighed deeply and spoke with a lifeless voice. "You believe that you're fighting against the apocalypse, but you don't know that the infinite worlds have existed for such a long period of time. That was because I had kept the truly terrifying apocalypse at bay, but now that I'm about to die, everything inside the reality gate will be destroyed. Whether it's the inner plane, the eternal abyss, the space-time mystery nest, the 900 million artificial world layers, or even the many parallel worlds, everything will come to an end," the orange cat froze. "Everything inside the reality gate. Could it be that all the worlds I know are actually inside the reality gate? And the place where the apocalypse came from was outside the reality gate?" He didn't have time to think about it any further. The apocalypse door knockers climbed down the bronze pillar and slowly approached the giant corpse's head. There were only a few hundred meters between them, and the orange cat could faintly sense some sort of pulling force. "This warp is about to end." The orange cat clenched his teeth, activated ground shrink, and landed on top of the giant corpse's head. "Listen, I still have one last method. Of course, you need to be able to move your head." "My head can move?" the giant corpse doubtfully asked. "Yes, can your head move? You don't need any spells, just shaking it. Can you do that?" "That's possible, all right." The orange cat no longer hesitated and summoned a spear that gave off a crimson glow with a single thought. "Those monsters aren't interested in the weapon, and they're ignoring it." The orange cat bit the spear, turned it around, and stabbed it into the giant corpse's helmet. A tiny hole appeared in the wall. It was healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. The orange cat took advantage of this brief moment to turn the spear around so that it was pointing upward. "Unapproachable, infinite worlds condemnation spear? Even though it's only a prototype, it can indeed help me." "Very well." The giant corpse's voice suddenly became excited. Following his voice, a faint surge of power appeared on the helmet to control the quickly healing hole. The orange cat held the spear in his mouth and fixed it into the hole on the helmet. After he did that, the hole quickly healed. With their cooperation, the true Crimson Demon spear was fixed in place. "Hurry! Hurry! Do you still have a chance to draw cards? I still need a lot of resources." The giant corpse urged him. "I do," Gu Qing Shan replied. "Draw them all." The orange cat glanced at his card UI. "My strength has increased by several levels, so I've accumulated quite a few chances to draw cards. Inner plane cards are extremely rare, and Little Dusk knows inner plane cards better than I do, so I originally wanted to wait until she woke up to discuss how to draw them. But now I have to make use of these chances." The orange cat reached his paw out and scratched the void of space. 1 card, 2 cards, 5 cards. He had drawn a total of 5 cards. As soon as the 5 cards appeared, they immediately hovered and circled around the true Crimson Demon spear. A line of glowing text appeared on the card UI. "An unknown power is currently fusing all of the cards into the spear. Would you like to allow it?" "Allow it." The orange cat firmly replied. "It's just a few cards. The giant corpse had helped me so many times before. Originally, I wanted to have the giant corpse shake its head and use the true Crimson Demon spear to kill those monsters. Although this method is crude, it's the only way." Who knew, the giant corpse would reignite his hope of survival and come up with an even better idea after seeing this spear. "Of course I'll support it." Not enough, I still need resources, a lot of resources. The giant corpse said. The orange cat took out his inventory bag from his thought sea and pushed it forward with his paw. Fortunately, I managed to rob Song Wu Zhang. Gu Qingshan couldn't help but feel a bit fortunate. The inventory bag instantly vanished. The 5 cards also vanished. Instantly, the true Crimson Demon Spear let out a loud woo-woo sound. Lines of glowing text quickly appeared on the War God UI frowny face. Attention, a true Crimson Demon Spear has been affected by the advanced smelting technique of the inner plane, currently gaining power and advancing to a higher level. In 3 seconds, the smelting technique will be complete. 3. The inner plane's condemner, the Crimson Demon Divine Spear, has been born. Gu Qingshan turned to the spear. The spear unleashed a red glow that fell onto his body. A young but determined voice resounded in his mind. Leave this place to me, don't worry. This isn't the giant corpse's voice. An artifact spirit? The true Crimson Demon Spear has given birth to an artifact spirit? Gu Qingshan was glad. The spear then gave off a sky-high red glow that followed the bronze pillar towards the approaching apocalypse door knockers. Calm. Miao Shu House. Chapter 1239. The crimson light passed through the bodies of the apocalypse door knockers and flew even higher into the sky. The doomsday gate knockers all stopped in their tracks and stood still. However, they were still intact and had not suffered any damage. Meow. Seeing this, the orange cat doubtfully called out. The immature voice once again resounded in his mind. Other than my original abilities, I naturally have a bit of demonic nature that allows me to use the law of causality to change their target. The apocalypse door knockers slowly began to move. They turned around and began to climb towards the top of the bronze pillar. How miraculous! While Gu Qingshan was thinking, lines of glowing text appeared in the void of space in front of his eyes. Frowny face, as the artifact spirit had personally informed you of the divine artifact's power, you've obtained the following information: rare divine artifact. Condemner of the inner plane, Crimson Demon Divine Spear. This divine spear carries the law property. Absolute sharpness. Description. This was the first weapon created by the old gods to harm themselves. Nothing can stop it. This divine spear carries the demonic nature of law, confusing attacks. Description. Once you pay a sufficient price, the demonic nature of the divine spear will be stimulated, causing your enemy to change their target. The demonic nature of controlling all things, forcing all to submit. Gu Qingshan quickly skimmed through all of it, not having time to read through it carefully. At this point, the pulling force on his body was becoming stronger and stronger, almost about to take him away. I'll leave this place to you, Gu Qingshan told the Crimson Demon Divine Spear. The Divine Spear let out a woo-woo sound. Gu Qingshan hurriedly told the giant corpse, I'm about to leave, I don't have time to do anything else, I only have one question. I'm currently fighting against the deity of chaos, do you have any suggestions? Saying so, the orange cat's figure had already started to hover. The giant corpse knew that he was about to leave, so he immediately replied, That would depend on which level of deity of chaos it is. If it is a true deity who created the era of chaos, the entire era of chaos would be willing to help him, as he possesses endless vitality and power. He cannot be defeated. He must pay the price of an order in order to request for an apotheotic combat from the era of chaos. An apotheotic combat? That's right, the era of chaos needs the most powerful god to help the entire era reach its peak. The era of chaos allows carriers of chaos to compete for divine authority, and it will pick the final victor from among them. Remember, only by stripping them of their divine authority can you. Whoosh! The orange cat instantly went through the blue sky and left this world. Kill that true god. The giant corpse's voice fell. Gu Qingshan did not hear the second half of the sentence. He turned into a rapidly flying blur, shuttling back the way he came from in the endless nothingness. Although he did not hear the second half of the giant corpse's words, he had a general idea of what it meant. Fight for the chaos theocracy? How to fight for it? How to pay for an order? Time was too tight, and there were many details that were not explained clearly. To be honest, before this, Gu Qingshan had always been uncertain. He had been constantly being pursued by the Soul Shrieker, finally managed to follow the Earth Creator's final words to search for a way into the Dusty World's secret passage, obtained the Abyssal Saint artifact from the Giant of Beginning, then obtained the power of 3 dragons during the battle against the Wraith Realm. Even so, he was still uncertain. The current Soul Shrieker had already devoured trillions of souls within the 900 million world layers, its strength already immeasurable. Other than that, it also had the support of the era of chaos, becoming the true god of chaos. According to the giant corpse, the era of chaos wouldn't let it die and would continue to provide it with endless divine power of chaos. Fortunately, he had found a feasible solution this time. Then, next, it's time for the decisive battle. In the void of space, a pair of cat paws slowly clenched tightly. The river of time. An orange cat descended from above, landing in the fog above the river of time. The orange cat looked around, only to see the pixies gathered together, having a party. The long-bearded old man was dancing with a young and beautiful female pixie. While dancing, he was singing, "Gu Qingshan is a damned little kitty. He left us in the river of time to play with mud by himself. I heard that he wanted to bring us to save order, as well as save many people. We couldn't help but work together with him. Ha, this is going to be a grand death. Ha, you asked me what kind of person Gu Qingshan is. Ha, he's a damned little kitty." Meow. All the pixies mimicked a cat's meow. Ah ha ha ha, they all laughed out loud. The orange cat. He suddenly turned back into Gu Qingshan and appeared in front of the pixies. "You seem to be very happy," Gu Qingshan said with a smile that didn't seem like a smile. "Aha, of course, we just wrote a song?" the long-bearded old man replied without changing his expression. "What song?" "Listen." All the pixies sang in unison. "Gu Qingshan is a cute little kitty. He left us in the river of time to fight monsters by himself. I heard that he wanted to bring us to save order, because we couldn't help but work together to save those people. Ha, this is going to be a grand adventure. Ha, you asked me what kind of person Gu Qingshan is. Ha, he's a brave little kitty. Meow." After singing, all the pixies cheered, hugged and high-fived each other, as if they had just finished a grand impromptu performance. The long-bearded old man wiped the sweat off his forehead and winked at Gu Qingshan. "How was it?" Gu Qingshan was speechless. But all the pixies looked at him with enthusiasm, waiting for his evaluation. Gu Qingshan could only give him a thumbs up. "Your live performance was quite impressive," the pixies cheered. "All right, we're about to head to that era. Please prepare yourselves," Gu Qingshan said. "What, we're going to fight?" the Pixie King asked. "Yes, this is the decisive battle between order and chaos, as well as the hope of the 900 million world layers. No problem, this is the moment we've been waiting for," the king replied. Then, wait a minute. Gu Qingshan suddenly turned to look at the void of space. From the void of space, lines of text popped up on the War God UI, displaying a message. After reading for a while, Gu Qingshan suddenly smiled. "So you've already prepared yourself," he muttered. "Same as the age of old," the War God UI replied. Gu Qingshan turned back into the orange cat and raised his paw. 3 coins were tossed into the air. Black fog filled the air and enveloped everyone. "Listen, we will arrive at that moment together, but I have something else I need to do, so I can't expose myself right now," Gu Qingshan told the pixies. The long-bearded old man's expression turned serious and loudly declared, "No problem, let us fight together." The pixies cheered, "Let us fight together." "Gu Qingshan, do you understand what I'm saying?" The long-bearded old man glared at her. Don't look down on us, we won't let anyone know that you're with us, I'll mobilize all the pixies to protect you." The pixies all patted their chests. "We'll protect you!" "Yes, that's right," Gu Shan happily replied. "Who said that pixies aren't reliable? Seems like that's just a rumor. Although they like to play around, at least they're reliable when it comes to important matters." With that in mind, Gu Shan activated the power of the 3 coins. An invisible force descended on everyone's body and carried them through the river of time. They were heading towards the most important moment of the past, the world of the spire. Indeed, this is the final order, as well as the carrier of order. The Soul Shrieker stared closely at Bali and spoke in a hoarse voice. Its entire body was trembling from excitement. After countless years, this moment had finally arrived. Even an entity of its level couldn't contain its excitement. Bali stood on the deck of the ship, lit a cigarette, took a deep drag, and exhaled a ring of smoke. His gaze met the Soul Shrieker's. "I heard that after you kill me, the era of chaos will fully descend?" Bali asked. The Soul Shrieker smirked. The boundless chaos was urging it to act, urging it to destroy this final order. Right at this time, suddenly, endless black fog filled the sky as intense winds began to blow. Everyone looked up at the sky. Anna was glad. "He's back." His premonition didn't show any signs of danger, so he must have returned safely. Zhang Yongho and Yi Fei Li exchanged glances, and also sighed in relief. "Seems like he's returned." Miao moved her gaze away from her brother and looked up at the sky. Her trembling hands slowly calmed down. "That's great, he's back. Big Bro won't have to fight against the deity of chaos anymore." Boss and Bali's gazes met, both in disbelief. Did he really manage to deal with Magic Dragon? The Soul Shrieker also cautiously looked up at the sky and roared with uncertainty. "Magic Dragon? The god of life?" The black fog scattered. Countless pixies descended from the sky. These pixies hovered in the sky, all of them staring at the Soul Shrieker. Everyone held their breath. Could it be they have a way to deal with this true deity? Sure enough, the pixies began to move. They abruptly erupted with a thunderous roar. "Deity of chaos, listen carefully. Gu Shan isn't hiding among us. It's not convenient for him to show himself." The orange cat who was hiding among the pixies froze. Everyone froze. The Soul Shrieker was surprised. Isn't it a bit too obvious? It was actually a bit doubtful. The orange cat didn't care about anything else and used ground shrink to appear in front of Lady Black Sea. He was holding a blank card in his mouth. This was the blank card that Lady Black Sea lost in Calming Soul Country. Hei sensed something and smiled faintly. "I've been waiting for you for so long, finally," she sighed emotionally and abruptly vanished. She appeared on the card. At the same time, the entire war god UI lit up. The UI's soul points has reached its activation limit, replenishing the soul origin energy for the card. The world's origin energy is ready. Beginning fusion, essential elements have been generated, energy rising, evolution commencing, a world's apocalypse online. Human Legion is about to descend. Chapter 1240. As soon as the pixie declared that, Gu Shan was already flying towards Lady Black Sea. Everyone froze. The Soul Shrieker was a bit hesitant, but its killing intent slowly gathered. Time stopped at this very moment. Among everyone here, the first person to react was Anna. Her heart abruptly skipped a beat. If the pixies weren't trying to fool us, then Gu Shan must be hiding among the pixies. He must be hiding because he's thinking of something. In other words, I need to buy time for Shan. "Ha!" Anna shouted, swung her scythe in the air, and slashed her left shoulder. Her blood fell onto the blade of the scythe and turned into a thick and intense black flame. Anna ignored the wound on her shoulder, raised the scythe up high and shouted, "Death is the end of all things, the moment when the soul and flesh are separated." She stabbed the scythe into the ground. Black flames erupted from the scythe, turned into a dark shadow, and quickly entered the Soul Shrieker's body. Mystical law, death, soul and flesh extraction. The Soul Shrieker froze for a split second. Its body collapsed, but its soul flew out from its body. Just as the soul was about to be pulled away by an invisible force, an abrupt change occurred. Boundless gloomy aura manifested from the void of space like a waterfall, surging into its soul and slowly manifesting into another body. This was a much larger body filled with boundless divine power. Anna's expression changed. Even death couldn't harm it? Just what level of divine power did it reach? For the first time, the Soul Shrieker observed Anna properly and spoke with its mocking female voice. Not a bad trick of death, unfortunately, you chose the wrong opponent. Its voice abruptly turned into a male voice filled with killing intent, roaring. Death God, the bodies of living beings are your authority, but they are my prison. Escaping from my mortal body will only bring me closer to a chaos. Strands of gray air descended from above, manifesting into a blinding light on its hand. The Soul Shrieker raised its hand. An intense presence manifested from its body like a tornado that swept away everything. Its male and female voices both uttered a resounding roar. I am the Chaos True God. The power of the Chaos era surrounds me and tramples all enemies with me. The gray light instantly shot out from its hand and blasted towards Anna. This was a high-level Chaos Holy Retribution. In midair, the long-bearded old man's eyebrows twitched. While the Soul Shrieker was talking, Gu Qingshan had already sent him a request. The long-bearded old man didn't hesitate and shouted, Pixies, Forest's protection. All the pixies took out their short staves and pointed them at Anna. The dense green light fell on Anna's body and turned into a dark green wooden shield, which immediately blocked the gray divine punishment. Boom! The divine retribution slammed into the shield. Kacha! 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 In the blink of an eye, the short staffs in the hands of the pixies broke one after another. The wooden shield shrunk and shattered at a visible speed. Just as Anna was about to be hit by the divine punishment, a figure suddenly flew out. Your opponent is me. Bali roared as he stood in the middle of the holy retribution, continuously swinging his fists. His armor was completely shattered. His body instantly turned into bones, then quickly regained vitality and came back to life. Just like that, he went back and forth between life and death several times before the light of the entire holy retribution finally faded away under his iron fists. Peh! Bali spat out a mouthful of blood, barely managed to stand still and grit his teeth. That fucking hurts. More and more people realized what was happening. Hayesden swung the gemstone scepter in his hand and loudly declared, Light of magic! The Sky Haze army behind him all took out the same card and spoke in unison, Obey your Majesty's command. Blinding and blinding light flew out from their hands and gathered on Hayesden's scepter. Hayesden turned to the Soul Shrieker and loudly chanted, Kill it, light of ghastly gems. A colorful light as thick as a millstone flew out from the scepter and struck the Soul Shrieker. On the other side, the evil creatures, mages, soldiers, long-range attackers, samsara asuras, as well as the resistors of various worlds all attacked at the same time. The battle had begun. Colorful lights of magic filled the entire battlefield, all of which were aimed at the Soul Shrieker without stopping. The Soul Shrieker stood still. Hayesden's spells struck its face and were instantly dispelled. Ahahaha, is this the final struggle of ants? Regretfully, your statuses are too low, unworthy to fight against a true deity, it laughed with its female voice. Its male voice began to chant an incantation. I am the true deity of chaos, the ancient servants who prostrate themselves before me, heed my call and slay the enemies who offend the deity. It hovered in midair, surrounded by boundless gray fog that manifested into a gray wall of fog that connected heaven and earth. Dong! 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 The ground trembled. One after another, mythical creatures emerged from the wall of fog. Monsters of all shapes and sizes. Their bodies were as large as city walls, their bodies exuded a gloomy aura, even their breathing caused intense gusts of wind. These were all monsters from myths and legends. Every time one of them appeared, it would bring endless chaos and disasters to the various worlds. Around these monsters, countless carriers of chaos arrived at the battlefield at the same time. The Soul Shrieker coldly declared, "Go, kill and eat every living creature in sight." Roar. The monsters uttered an earth-shattering roar. On the other side, everyone who was fighting against chaos was stunned. Too strong. These monsters are too strong. Any one of them could at least rival the demigods of the strife zones. How are we supposed to fight against them? Suddenly, a voice resounded. "Everyone, listen up!" Everyone turned to see that it was Iron Fist Bali. He was soaked in blood, but didn't notice at all and loudly declared, "We are not standing here because we can definitely win against our enemies, we are participating in this decisive battle for the sake of our own beliefs." The crowd went silent. Bali clenched his gauntlets tightly and loudly declared, "The innocent people of the infinite worlds, there might be your family, my friends, his lover. We are fighting for the sake of those who are worth cherishing. If we win, they will be able to survive." His voice became low and slow, but it was still audible in the wind. "Let them live without worry, we swear with our lives that we will protect them. This is the true reason why we are here. Even if we lose." Peh! Bali spat out a mouthful of blood, then angrily shouted, "Don't you even have the courage to die on the battlefield?" The crowd became rowdy. "Go," someone muttered. "Just a bunch of monsters, watch how I cut them down," someone said. "Life and death is nothing, this daddy has roamed the infinite worlds, this time I'm going to take revenge on these bastards. That's right, I came here to die, what's there to fear? Go! Go! Go!" The voices of the crowd became louder and louder, gradually converging into a resolute fighting spirit. They seemed to have completely forgotten just how terrifying the monsters they were facing were. Bali took a deep breath and loudly shouted, "Everyone, follow me, charge, dash!" His figure leapt off the ship and landed on the ground, charging towards the army of chaos by himself. A single person was charging towards the entire chaos faction and the true gods. The pixies had already been unable to hold themselves back. The long-bearded old man swung his short staff and shouted, "Pixies, charge!" Hayesden raised his staff and shouted, "Everyone, get on your horses and charge!" All the card users behind him released their mounts and shouted in unison, "For the king!" The evil creatures and Azura shouted in unison, "Charge!" Gaian clasped his fists together. His entire body erupted in intense flames as he shouted, "Charge!" Everyone who took the initiative to participate in this battle began to move. They charged towards the monsters of the chaos, and the army of carriers of the chaos, with everything they had. At the same time, "Is she still not done?" Gu Qing Shan hurriedly asked. The war god Ui explained. The reason why Black Sea was chosen by the bygone era humans to guard the Tai Wei city wall was because she was the strongest order that the bygone era humans brought from a parallel world. However, she had been weakened for too long, so we had no choice but to spend a bit more time. Thanks to Anna's cover, Bali and the pixies acted one after another, causing the entire war to break out. The Soul Shrieker had no time to search for him, so it was currently hiding here to help Lady Black Sea evolve back into an order. Hearing the war god Ui's answer, Gu Qing Shan couldn't help but look back at the battlefield. Both sides were getting closer and closer, the battle could erupt at any moment. "If you don't have enough soul points, use mine, but be quick." Gu Qing Shan spoke in a low voice. "I'll charge you 1,000,000 soul points." The war god Ui asked. "Sure." Gu Qing Shan immediately replied. A string of numbers appeared on the war god Ui. All of a sudden, Lady Black Sea looked at Gu Qing Shan from her card and smiled. "Done! Gu Qingshan sighed in relief and quickly spoke. Lady, please descend upon our people and help them fight. Don't worry, chaos is my eternal enemy. I will do everything I can, Black Sea replied. Gu Qingshan looked back at the battlefield. Bali was at the very front, about to receive the enemy. Without hesitation, Gu Qingshan turned back into her human form and disappeared. Bali! Everyone! Gu Qingshan raised the card and loudly declared towards the battlefield. This is the mortal enemy of chaos, the strongest helper I've found. Everyone, prepare to fight alongside. Order! Gu Qingshan tossed the card forward. As the card flew out, it vanished into thin air. At this point, Bali had already faced off against the first carrier of chaos. He swung his fist and sent the other party flying with a single strike. From the void of space, a set of metal armor abruptly appeared, broke down into its components, and covered his body. Following that, 2 humanoid soldiers made of pure metal appeared next to him. Bali was surprised, looked at the 2 strangers behind him, then looked up at Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan raised her thumb to signal that there were no issues. At this point, the second carrier of chaos arrived. Bali raised his fist again. Boom! One of the metal soldiers behind him attacked together with him, and sent the other party flying. A second later, the metal armor on Bali's body suddenly fell off. A set of bronze armor appeared and reappeared on his body. At the same time, a gentle flash of light appeared. Bali's presence abruptly rose. Another 4 metal soldiers appeared behind him. Bali seemed to have understood something, and burst into a burst of laughter. Ahahaha, protectors, follow me into battle. Yes. The metal soldiers replied in unison. At the same time, various supernatural phenomena manifested on the charging troop. Hayesden stared at the void of space for a bit, then raised his scepter and shouted, I have used countless gems to exchange for this covenant. Come, protector of the gem cards, this is a decisive battle you must take seriously. Within the light of the scepter, a unicorn suddenly appeared, stepping on the moonlight and slowly landed next to Hayesden. A monster of chaos? The unicorn snorted, seems like I'll have to go all out. Guyan reached out a burning finger and drew a pattern of flames in the void of space. He muttered in a low voice, Behemoth of the magma world, with the primordial power of my bloodline, I say, this is the time for the flames to boil. The earth trembled. Lava flowed everywhere. A giant made entirely of fire and rock crawled out. It had the body of a human, wielding a black stone war hammer in its hand. Why did you summon me, son of flame? The giant asked with a resounding voice. Guyan pointed at the other side. Ah, so it was a creature of chaos, they should be destroyed. The giant roared. The pixies were busy in the air. Suddenly, the long-bearded old man chanted a cryptic pixie language. The sky darkened as countless tentacles danced chaotically. The pixie giant cuttlefish had been summoned. This time, it was in perfect condition and was summoned with 100% of its strength. Anna stood on the ship with a complicated expression, her gaze focused on the void of space and muttered, So there's a divinity template. A long black dress appeared on her body. The black flames of death radiated from her body, covering the entire deck of the ship. Her entire being exuded a sense of mystery and solemnity. She murmured softly, Hound of retribution, black crow of death, you are my servants, I grant you the divine power of death, come, fight for me. 2 figures slowly became clear from within the black flames. Hound deity and black crow had appeared. It's been a long time, our god. Black crow muttered in a low voice. Black dog's body slowly grew to the height of a 3-story building, its entire body silently burning with black flames. It prostrated in front of Anna and spoke, Sir God of Death, we shall participate in this divine war together with you. Anna looked at Gu Qingshan in the sky and clenched her black scythe tightly. Let's go, it's time to fight. On the battlefield, more and more summoned behemoths began to appear. Various powerful attacks erupted from the crowd. A legendary war had begun. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.